My next guest has been a friend of mine for over a decade. She has a huge heart and a glowing personality. Anita, thanks for making time to be here today.
Oh, shucks, thanks.
You're welcome.
That's so nice.
Yeah, I try. I'm Zach Miller with my co-host Vance Ryne.
The host to the guest. Here we go.
And we are touching base with Anita Larson today.
Hi, guys.
Hi. And we got Ryan on the board tonight too. We'll thank him later, but
Sounds good.
Thanks for coming on, Anita.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're going to be our guest this time, so we get to interview you.
it almost worked out perfectly, kind of.
It's almost.
I didn't plan, like, this was a bad planning on my part that we didn't have somebody this week, and like, we can fill with Anita.
It kind of worked out.
I'm a good filler.
And I'm really excited because we hit 2,000 listeners, 2,000 downloads yesterday, actually.
Ooh,
And
that's awesome.
So this is our group together. You know, it's been you, it's been Zach, it's been me, and it's been Ryan.
Yeah.
And Zach's wonderful wife, she's going to take a quick celebratory shot with all of us real quick. It's a little nothing, but I mean, I think it's a really cool thing that we hit 2,000 downloads. So
Yeah, congrats.
It's a
That's
great
awesome.
thing. Some people would have stopped by now, so we're doing good.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Like that ASMR of the liquid going down the throat,
Yeah. I'm going to try to not drink that right in the microphone.
right?
Gulp, gulp.
I just thought that'd be really fun to
It was
do,
fun.
'cause
Yeah,
I knew
thanks,
that
Zach.
This is the main core. And
This is the main
group,
core group.
So
I
it's pretty
didn't.
awesome.
Thanks,
I
Vance.
didn't even realize. Vance had to tell me that we hit 2,000 downloads, so I didn't even realize that. I've been so busy.
Life gets away from you.
It's
It
been a
does.
busy couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Anita,
Yes.
you are on the spotlight tonight. You are no host this evening.
It's a little different.
Yeah, you didn't really want to do
Let's
this.
do this. Well, I'm one of those, I just don't like talking about myself that much sometimes. Like, that's the worst part about interviewing and things like that, when they're like, tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's just BS for a while and you'll figure me out.
Well, that's all this is. We're just
Yep.
going to BS. I got some questions, but
Yeah, that's good.
just a few.
So tell us about yourself real quick.
Oh, Vance, let's not.
So let's begin in the
Yeah.
early days.
Okay.
You grew up in Ewing, Nebraska,
Southwest of it.
on
Yep.
a farm, right?
Yes.
How was your childhood there? Talk a little bit about growing up on the farm.
Yeah, I would say I was kind of one of the typical little farm kids where you grow up and you love it as a little kid. Like, you're always outside. You go sledding all day in the winter. You beg your parents to go down to the creek swimming in the summer. All that kind of stuff. And then you hit junior high and high school age, and your parents are like, no, you can't go to town. We live too far. Like, you're not driving 20 miles just to go hang out for a couple hours. So you hit a little stage where you're like, dang, it kind of sucks living out here. You can't just go next door and shoot hoops with your buddy. But I wouldn't have changed it for the world. I love growing up in the country. We made our own fun a lot.
Have to.
I don't know how many different basketball hoops we actually had
That weren't actually
around our
basketball
place.
hoops?
Yeah, like, you just go find a little metal ring and my brother would tack it up on the corn crib or whatever and play some knockout, and I don't know, use
How many
your
siblings
imagination.
do you have?
I have an older brother that's about 2.5 years older than me, and a sister that's 5 years. So
Older?
Yep.
So 2 older, you're the youngest?
Yep. I'm the babe.
But you come from quite a big family, right?
Oh, I come from both extremes. Like, my mom's side of the family is ginormous. Like, my mom keeps track of, we have this family book that's legit so thick, because from my grandma and grandpa down, if you look at the kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, great-great spouses, there's over 300 living members, I think of it. So my mom was the second youngest of 10 kids. So I'm the 39th grandkid. I'm
Wow.
I'm the baby of the grandkids too. So lots of baby title.
That's
with
kind
me.
of crazy because, like, my mom is in the middle of 8 and there ain't 30. I don't think there's 30. I'm trying to think. There ain't 30 cousins like that grow grandkids. That's crazy. Like,
They popped out a lot of kids. And
Yeah.
then on my dad's side, it was literally just him and his sister. And she died when I was a baby, actually. She died of breast cancer.
Oof.
So I have two cousins and a step cousin on my dad's side. So
You're right. Two extremes there.
two extremes. Yep. Very much so. So
yeah.
I went to a country school up until I had to go into town in 6th grade. So that was something that was always kind of my dad when he would take us to school in the morning, because he was a hired hand growing up. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. But a lot of times my dad would be the one to take us to school because he'd do chores in the morning, drop us off at school, and he'd go to work. So we'd make little different games and stuff, like counting the number of blackbirds red-winged blackbirds we'd see on the way to school. And I mean, because we didn't start school till like 9, we'd get out at 3, something like that. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
3 recesses a day. I don't know. It was life. I loved country school.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of people that are like, oh, Little House on the Prairie, little Laura Ingalls Wilder. And I'm like, what's a little more?
Did you have indoor plumbing out there? Or?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Very much so.
Oh, that's funny. Did you play any sports in high school?
Heck, yes. Growing up, I could play one sport in 5th grade, so I started with basketball. And then I could only play one sport because, that's what my brother and sister did. So I always had to follow suit. But then in 8th grade, I could pick up a second sport. So I picked up volleyball. And then it was mainly just volleyball and basketball until my junior year. And then I added track in there. So.
Your junior year, you added track. Most people get to that senior year and say,
they want to quit.
Yeah, I'm done with this. I ain't doing track.
No,
the other way.
Yeah. I know. Well, the main reason I went out my junior year just to help me. I mean, coaches say you need to go out for track.
Yeah.
To help other sports.
Yeah, keep conditioned, all that kind of stuff. So I did that my junior year. And maybe my parents didn't even let me till my junior year. I don't even remember for sure. But then in basketball, my senior year, second to last game, I blew out my knee. So my senior year of track was literally like sitting in a whirlpool and riding a bike eventually. But then I still got to get out of
tournaments
or
meets or whatever.
Yep, exactly. I didn't even really have to do the work and still got the benefit. So
that's fun.
Senior year worked. How's the life?
Did you have a job during high school, or were you mostly just helping out on the farm?
Did a lot of helping out on the farm, but then we did different fundraising things for sports. So I want to say it was our junior year, maybe it was senior year, but I think junior year, our volleyball team, just picked up some odd jobs around town, and there were a few of us that went out to Summerlin Golf Course and did some deep cleaning and did some stuff there. And me and my friend Becky, we were cleaning, and they're like, do you two girls want a job? We're like, sure, whatever. So we picked up some cleaning hours out there. Eventually, once I got old enough to serve booze, I bartended, and eventually actually got a key to the place and did some opening and closing and different stuff like that. Helped run tournaments, and I was a little upset because they never actually let me do the beer cart. And I would slave over hours with Becky, grilling pork chops, steaks on men's league night. And they'd come downstairs and we'd have our tip jar there. We're just like, we had charcoal grills for most of it. And so we'd be like covered in charcoal dust. And these men would come downstairs and they'd be like, oh shit, I don't have any money left. I gave it all to the beer cart girl. And we're like, you mother truckers. They got the easy job.
That's funny.
But yeah, so it was mainly just, helping on the farm and working at the golf course. So
going back to some of your family, were most of them around the area?
A lot of my mom's family is around the Elgin, Petersburg, Albion area, Humphrey, Battle Creek. So yeah, mom's side all kind of stayed pretty close. My dad's sister and her family, they were in Lincoln. But he had a lot of uncles and other stuff that were around the area, kind of Burwell, Chambers. Some of them migrated to Montana. So
was there a lot of family get-togethers, like big family get-togethers?
For my mom's side, I think about, I think you mentioned it during Jared's podcast where, about every weekend you'd go to your grandparents' house. I actually never met my mom's dad. He died before I was born. But we would go to grandma's quite often. She lived in Elgin. So we went to the dentist in Elgin. We went to, we set up doctors and stuff like that. So we'd make a dual purpose. And we went over there quite a bit. A lot of my mom's siblings and cousins and stuff like that would go over there too. And so
big family get-together. So it's a lot of fun.
Usually, yeah. Except it's like, I don't know if everybody else is like this, but then when Grandma died, things just kind of started slowly falling apart a little bit. You start shifting into the next generation.
Yeah, that's how it usually goes.
So we still try to have at least a family reunion every year. And unfortunately, we're at the point where, we have a decent number of funerals that we see each other at instead of the family reunions, which sucks. But
yeah.
So
I've noticed that with the younger generations, it's a little bit different. The matriarchy, the grandma was the matriarch of the family, and it was a big thing, especially in certain cultures and stuff. Like I grew up, I'm Irish and German on both sides. So the grandmas, both of them on the German side and on the Irish side, they want to put together a big feast for, everybody in their family. So they want to see the kids, they want to see the grandkids, they want to see the great grandkids. And so that's kind of a really big thing. Once that starts changing a little bit, or they get too old, or it seems like I've noticed that in my life, it's a little bit harder to get everybody together.
Yep.
And then family, everybody comes together. One afternoon is awesome. 2, 3, 4. Let's start splitting up a little bit here, guys.
Yeah, right.
We kind of laugh a little bit too, and I know sometimes it's like, the less you see people, sometimes the harder it is to sometimes continue some of those conversations. And sometimes, you can just pick right up where you left off, but sometimes the longer you spend time apart, the more awkward it can be sometimes. Yep. And so sometimes they die out a little sooner than I'd like to when we actually do get a chance to get together. But I don't know, sometimes I think we just need to change what we're doing a little bit. But
yeah, slow down, go to a different venue, like we'll rent a hall somewhere and just sit around and BS around a table. And sometimes it's hard since we're so big on mom's side. Like I would love to rent a weekend house somewhere. Let's play cornhole and drink all weekend, and let's just that sounds like a good time anytime. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Of course, going into my 2, 3, 4 days, I'm telling you, you haven't had enough experience in this, I'm guessing.
Oh, you gotta
well,
like
you're drinking
them,
if you forget the day before, so it's a whole new day.
I tend to like most people, so hanging out for a few days isn't usually too big of an issue.
So you were raised as a hard worker and always willing to pitch in where you can. Have you seen that as kind of a thing that's slipping in today's society at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've touched on it in some other podcasts and stuff before. Some of your technology and stuff these days is just taking some of that time away, It's put the phone down, actually spend some time together. My family's very, very big on card games and board games, and we always have been. And it's funny, this last week, growing up, you hardly even get cell phone service out of my parents' place. Like everybody jokes you're in the middle of the sticks and you're in the middle of nowhere. And so you hardly get cell phone service or anything like that. So when we go out to mom and dad's, no internet, no cell phone pretty much, unless it's wintertime and there's no leaves on the trees. But, so it's just quality time with each other. But they actually got fiber optics finished, set up at their house this last week. I was like, who ever thought you would actually have internet? And they're like, not us. So we have to have a little learning session to make sure they don't get hacked on a bunch of stuff. But
right.
Don't wire money to
just don't click.
Exactly.
Anita's not in jail. You don't need to. Exactly.
She doesn't need any Fortnite gift cards to
Right.
get her out of jail.
No. So I get super excited when I hear other people talk about like actually playing cards with each other and playing board games and just spending quality time, because there's so many times, you know, you walk into a room sometimes and everybody's just on their phone. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm not guilty of that sometimes too. I can be the same way, but
It happens with our generation at the bar.
Yeah.
When you go out together at the bar,
Yeah.
I find myself sometimes, I just, I'm bored and I'm going to just look at my
I
phone.
try not to. It usually comes to boredom is
Yeah.
what it comes down to. I try so hard not to do
I
it, but
do
it
too.
happens to me too.
I try to keep my phone face down too, because that's the other thing a lot of people won't. Like they'll put their phone face up, and any little light coloration or anything, it brings your attention to it.
yeah.
If it's at least face down, I like it face down more because I don't notice it as much. If it's in my pocket,
Yeah.
then I'm feeling a vibration.
Right.
Whereas if it's face down, then I don't even know I got a notification.
Yeah. I think some of it's just a little bit of evolution sometimes too. And I think that there are some people who, I mean, like even just us sitting here, you know, we're like, we try not to do that because we know what it's like to be without it. And so I think right now, maybe it's not quite so bad, but I mean, it's bad enough, but I feel like things will just keep getting a
The
little
generations
gradually.
that have had them their whole life.
Yep.
Whereas like we grew up without them.
Yeah.
So
It's
like,
also just that we're sitting here saying, like, we consciously think about it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I always worry about, well, maybe I'm offending Vance if I'm on my phone and we're having a conversation type of thing, or you or whoever.
Yeah.
And, you know, we think about it that way. And the people younger, like, especially Christians age, like, you could be talking to him and you got to like literally tell him to put his phone down.
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, they've grown up with it their whole life,
Yeah.
whereas we didn't have that. That was completely new to us.
Yep.
I had it. My first time with my own personal cell phone was when I was in college. After my first semester of college, they got me one for Christmas.
Mine was
I had one.
16.
All of us kids shared one. Just a flip phone for. We had started with a bag phone, then went to a flip phone. That when we went to school events or whatever, one of us three had a phone to get a hold of our parents or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, Mom just wanted to make sure I had something when I was driving.
Yeah.
That was about it, though. And back then, you couldn't do the things that you can do now. It was just an old flip phone that could call. That's about it.
My first personal phone was a Nokia with a snake.
The snake, yeah.
The screen had snake on it. That was
mine too.
That was the key to.
I had the old Motorola with the big old battery on the outside, and you could flip it and pull the antenna up still.
I never had one of those.
You never had one. They were pretty cool looking, actually.
I had us boys shared. We started with a bag phone, and then we went to a StarTAC. Remember the StarTAC?
Yeah.
That was our first phone that we shared, and that one had nothing other than you could call. There was nothing else on that phone.
Yeah, the old Nokia.
That thing was
Exactly.
That thing was indestructible.
They should make them more like that.
After
nowadays.
I got rid of that phone, I went through like 43 phones.
You're still doing that.
Yeah, they're getting better. They're
getting
way
better.
better.
They're getting better.
There was a period of time where they were worthless. You know,
You had backups just sitting there ready to go in the closet.
like those Motorola razors or anything.
Yeah.
You get a drop of rainwater on it and it's done.
Yep.
That's funny.
Yeah. No, and I feel like sometimes too we are in an instant gratification world too, where
I'm that way in general.
somebody texts you and you think you have to instantly text them back
Yeah.
because if you don't, they're gonna be like, dude, what the hell?
Mom just called me out for that today because I was saying I wanted the basement done like now. She's like, "You always want things done now, don't you?" I was like,
Well, yeah.
"Kinda."
Well, in your defense
Kinda.
though, I mean, if they give you an original
I know.
timeline that's like
but it's not just that; it's other things. You guys all know. You've been around me enough.
Yeah.
I want it done now.
I'm that way about
it
certain
depends
things.
what it is. Yep. So
Yeah, but I see what you're saying.
yeah. So I don't know. It's a lot of it just comes down to how you parent, how you were raised, what
Yeah. It's hard to parent right now. I'll tell you that. What do you think, Ryan?
I would agree with that.
Yeah, it's difficult to try to balance all
It's super hard for me to parent right now.
Yeah, it's hard when you don't have kids, right?
That's why I didn't ask for Vance's opinion.
You know,
My kids are grown men, so it's so difficult to parent. Babysit. I'm not a parent. I'm a babysitter.
Yeah, you're a babysitter.
well,
It's just as difficult.
that can be hard.
I'm not a parent, but
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time around my nieces and nephews and
You do.
stuff as much as I can.
Right.
And
there's a lot of things that come up that I'm like, yep, good luck with that. I'm glad I don't have to figure out how to
You can just
navigate
leave
that.
and get out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would if I had to, but
Right.
some of it I'm just like, yep, you guys have fun with that. I'm glad I don't have to figure that out.
Yeah.
It's all about balance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So going from high school, where did you end up going to college?
I went to college at Midland in Fremont.
Good old Midland.
Good old Midland. I loved Midland. I didn't mind Fremont, honestly. But I feel like every place that I lived, it's always the friends and the people that I've made there that actually made the experience of the town that I lived in. But I toured at.
Before you go to that, how did you come to that decision?
Well,
So walk us through a little bit. We've been trying to get everybody to kind of walk
Yeah.
their process. Were your parents involved? Did you make the decision on your own? How did you come to that?
my parents went with me on the college visits. My mom mainly. But they didn't necessarily chip in too much of what my decision was. They were just like, well, I mean, you got to pay for it yourself. So you make the decision of what you want to do and where you want to go kind of thing. And Midland, I knew it was a private college. I got some good scholarships and some financial aid packages and stuff that made it financially able for me to pay for it. But I had a decent amount of loans because, I mean, it's a private college. Like, yeah, I could get the max federal student loans and all that kind of stuff. But they added up pretty damn quick.
Yeah.
But part of what played into my decision in Midland, because I think when I went and toured Wayne, part of that financial package, I could have decreased from max loans because if I would have got max loans, technically I would have got paid to go to school there between other scholarships and things like that. But I just, the feel of Wayne, I didn't like as much as I did in Fremont at Midland. It was just, I mean, growing up in Ewing, it's 300 people and I was used to just small little community type feel. And so when I went to Midland, I actually had decided that I wanted to go into accounting for some dumb reason. I got to about my senior year and I'm like, what in the hell am I doing? Like, accounting's boring.
Yeah.
But it hugely played into my decision of going to Midland because they had a top-notch accounting program. Like, they were one of the highest ranked colleges in Nebraska for having one of the highest success rates of passing the CPA exam on your first try or,
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, I guess.
That's good.
They had a very hard accounting program, but the hardness made the success rate that much better for those that actually went on to go into CPA stuff. So, and they also had what's called the interterm. I don't know if they still do or not, but so they had like your first semester, your second semester, but for the month of January, it was a chance to get an additional 3 credit hours if you took interterm. If you didn't take interterm, you basically got the whole month of January off. But it made it feasible for me. In order to sit down for the CPA exam, you had to have 150 credit hours. And so if I would have actually penciled math more, I was like, well, I can accomplish 150 hours in 4 years if I go to Midland, whereas I'll probably have to go 5 years somewhere else in order to accomplish that. But the fact that it was a private school, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
but I loved my experience there. It was kind of funny because probably about my senior year of high school, I started dabbling into drinking with friends a little bit more, and there's
Small town Nebraska.
a little.
No way.
I know,
No
I
way.
know, and we actually became little local celebrities. My class did because we got sent home early on our Washington D.C. trip because
Oh, yeah.
we decided to have a little party in somebody's room and had the wrong sponsors along, I guess. But so I don't know. It was one of those things. And then I got to college and some of my best friends on my floor didn't really drink. They didn't do it in high school. They had no desire to do it in college. And so it was almost like I went backwards. Like a lot of people are like, get to college and they're like, let's go drink, let's go party, let's go to.
That's what I did.
Yeah. And I almost went the other way.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
Became a homebody type.
Kind of.
Not going out type.
Yeah. I mean, I still went to some party. I had some high school friends that went to Midland too. And so when I'd go hang out with them, we'd go drink. When I was with my new college friends, we played cards and sat around and BS'd for a while.
Probably saved money and had more fun that way.
Yeah.
That's
part of it too. I was a broke little college kid.
Yeah, that ain't a bad idea. I like to tell the story the way I went, like, because I kind of let loose in college. It was my first, like, I drank a couple times in high school, not much, a few times. I got to college and I went to a fraternity. I was in an ag fraternity, and we drank. That's what we did, is we drank.
Yeah.
And it took me 3 semesters at Lincoln to realize I had a group of people that I could party Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and a group of people I could party Tuesday, Thursday. It just turned out I was in every single group.
That's
and it
funny.
Took me 3 semesters to realize, hey, Vance, you have stopped scheduling these 8:30, 9 o'clock classes. This is stupid. You'll never go.
And there's also...
And I didn't.
There's also something, too, about, I mean, they say stick around on the weekends. And my freshman and part of my sophomore year, I didn't really stick around on weekends too much. And I think that affected my experience there a little bit, too. Not necessarily in a negative way, but just maybe prevented some of that partying or whatever a little bit too. But because I'd go back and I'd work some weekends at the golf course and make money. Because I mean, I worked at a financial aid job at the college, but that was all I did. And it was like, at that time, minimum wage was like $7.50, and that's what you got paid. Mm-hmm. So I would go back and work at the golf course and stuff on weekends and make money and, do things that way. But
gotta make money somehow.
Yeah, and it wasn't a bad gig, and I enjoyed doing it. And I don't know, I've always been a very, very big family person. So although in college, when I went home on weekends, I went and hung out with friends that were also back. So I didn't necessarily I'd get some lectures of, you got home a little late, didn't you?
When you're under my roof, you abide by my rules.
Yep.
I'm a grown woman, Mom. Leave me alone. I'm a college kid.
Yeah, but no, it was good. So yeah, that was a long way of saying, Midland's where I ended up going to college. So.
And you graduated though?
Yes, I graduated in bachelor. I had a bachelor administration degree with concentrations in accounting, administrative assistant, and paralegal. Because I mean, why not get all 3? Right. Administrative assistant was pretty much just a given if you decided you were going to do accounting.
Right.
And the only difference in getting a paralegal concentration was just taking like a 3-credit hour paralegal class. So I'm like, might as well leave my options open.
Yeah, right. That's pretty good though.
Yeah.
Going from college to, unless there's something else you want to talk about in college.
No. That's pretty much it.
So walk us through Midland to what brought you to Norfolk.
Yeah. So
that's kind of a gap for me. So and I've known you for a long time, but that's.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really did enjoy working in the financial aid office at Midland, and I would help the administration office quite a bit too. And so whenever they would have different student visit days and stuff, I'd be like on a student panel, and they'd fire questions at you about being a student at Midland and all this kind of stuff. And after I graduated, I didn't really know that I wanted to pursue accounting anymore, which kind of defeated my purpose of attending Midland in the first place. But because it was such an expensive college, I was like, I'm just sticking with this because it's way too damn expensive to change my mind now.
Right.
But that first summer after I graduated, I still worked in the financial aid and admissions office, more full-time though. At the time, they didn't necessarily have, they didn't really have a need to hire for anything other than somebody that just helped do mailings and little things and stuff like that. So I ended up finding a job in Omaha for a company called NEI Global Relocation. So after I graduated, though, I moved in with one of my good friends. We lived in an apartment in Fremont. So after that first summer, I ended up commuting to Omaha every day for a year. And then she got engaged. They were moving back down to Kearney area. And so I had another college friend that was like, well, I just got a job at Children's in Omaha. Do you want to potentially live together in Omaha? Sure. So we lived together there for a year, and then she got engaged. So I'm like, so the moral of the story, if anybody wants to get engaged, live with me for a year and you're set.
You're the good luck charm.
I'm the good luck. I've always said I'm everybody's friend, nobody's girlfriend, nobody whatever. So, but yeah, so then she got engaged. They moved to Arizona. But so yeah, I worked at NEI Global for 4 years. Lived in Omaha for 3 of those years, and just some different things that were happening at the job. Overall I loved it. I love the people that I work with. Most of them had some great experiences in Omaha. Growing up, I said, over my dead body will I ever live in Omaha. But it's just kind of how the chips kept falling, and I can honestly say I did not hate it nearly as much as I thought I would. Some of the traffic, some of the hustle and bustle and the busy stuff, I didn't necessarily care for, but I made some amazing friends there, and some people that I went to high school with lived there, so there were familiar faces. Some of the people that I met at NEI, I'm still super good friends with today. They got me into a few other things too, like coaching little league softball and baseball, which we'd mess around in our yard hitting and throwing balls and stuff like that. But I didn't know anything about the sport rule wise or anything like that. But she's like, you're good with kids. This is my good friend, Jessie. She's like, you're good with kids. I know you know how to throw and hit. So she's like, come help me. So that was a fun experience. But different things happened at NEI. I had enough family things kind of happen as far as I felt like I wasn't getting to see my aunts and uncles too much anymore. My mom being the second youngest of 10 kids. My aunts and uncles were getting older. I didn't feel like I got to spend much quality time with family. So I decided that I was going to move back to Norfolk, even necessarily before I had a job. I had kind of talked to a girl from my hometown. She worked at Daycos at the time, and she's like, we'll have some positions coming open that I think you'd be really good for, because her mom and my mom were best friends. We just lived 5 miles down the road from each other. And so she had mentioned to Paula at one point in time, she's like, well, I think Anita's going to be moving back to Norfolk. If you got a job opening, you should talk to her. And so, I that was kind of on the horizon. And so I made the decision. I'm like, I don't know. It was one of those things where I just woke up one morning and I'm like, I'm done with Omaha. I'm done with this job. Like, I want to move back home closer to family. And I don't know, but it was just one of those little God wink things, I guess. All of a sudden it was just, this is what I'm going to do. And I just did it. So, that was probably 13 years ago now that I moved back to Norfolk. So worked at Daycos for almost 12, and now been at Farm Bureau for over a year.
That. So we met in your time at Big Red when I was there.
Yep.
Did you have any other jobs besides that in Daycos coming back to Norfolk then?
Technically, before I started working at Daycos, I worked a temp job at Premier Marketing.
Oh, okay.
So
I think I knew that actually.
Because the job at Daycos, I think, was initially going to open up around like August, or maybe it was October or something like that. But then their busy season was taking a while. I don't know. They were doing some restructuring. They weren't ready for the position to be open yet. So because I didn't actually start there until February. So I had Premier Marketing in there.
Did you kind of have an agreement, an actual agreement, even though the job wasn't open yet, that you knew that you were going to get that job? Or
written, no, but pretty confident, just because of connections that I had there, and they knew my work ethic, and they knew, that I'd be a good fit for the position. I still had to go through all the technicalities of interviewing and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, it was kind of a little bit of leap of faith there too, I guess.
So I didn't know how much of the Daycos you wanted to get into. Our time at Big Red was fun.
It was fun.
A lot of late nights, and I know you had to be the one to get up the next day, but you still hung out with everybody. And
that's how I met you through that. I met you through Zach, through Big Red volleyball. Basically, is how I met volleyball nights.
That's right, isn't it? Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. Do you want to speak on Daycos a little bit? I don't have any questions about it. Do you want to just, or do you want to just?
No.
So what did you do at Daycos? What does Daycos do?
By the end of it, it was almost a shorter question to what I didn't do. But Daycos, the bulk of the business is they're a third-party billing company for relocating military. So moving carriers and stuff would, they'd be our customers. And whenever they moved, had a permanent change of station or whatever from, if they were in a base in Florida, moved to the base in Texas, the moving company would send us the paperwork and we'd bill the government for them. So that was kind of that's the bulk of what their business income is, but there's a lot of other little side, services and stuff that they do. It started out on the auditing side, and then there's still a lot of auditing and billing in there. But, so when I started there, I was in the, customer setup department. So, getting everybody into the system, teaching them how to use our system, how to register shipments and stuff with us, and kind of walking through that. I was in that position for about a year. And then there was a team lead position that opened up on the GSA and Department of State department. So instead of it being a Department of Defense move, it was a Department of State move. But I was literally my own teammate. I had nobody that I had to look over or anything like that.
You led yourself?
I gave myself the best raises. No, I'm just
Is that one of those blind leading the blind things?
A lot of it actually was self-learning in a lot of ways, which was good experience for me overall. And I was in that position probably for about a year, maybe two. And then one of our customers had asked, have you ever thought about doing commercial billing? If it's a Walmart or a Target or something like that, instead of it being military. And since I had that kind of experience in my previous job in Omaha, they're like, Anita, would you be interested in being the team starting us, helping us start this service on the commercial side? So I hopped over into that. I was my own teammate for a little while, but then we kind of grew it enough and were dabbling in enough things that then I had some people under me. And then we moved buildings, and through different reorganizations, I was a team lead for, probably 10 of the almost 12 years that I was there. Like I said, some of them were just managing myself. I was just difficult.
I can't manage myself, so it's
So no, it was overall. I have a lot of really great things to say about Daycos and my experience and stuff there. I imagine with anybody's position, you have your little hardships and your hard points that you hit, and some different bumps along the way.
And you met a lot of good people.
I am still great friends with some people there. Still play sand volleyball with some of them. My friend Karen is one of my rocks in this town. I still am pretty close with a lot of them. So So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, just due to different changes in structure and some flexibility changes and just where I'm at in my point in life, I just decided it was time to make a switch.
So I know that decision was difficult for you.
Yeah.
How hard was it to make that transition from Daycos to working for such a hard ass like me?
In a lot of ways, it was very hard. Just because
she knew what you were like from Big Red, and she said, "Fuck that."
Oh man, you're gonna pay me how much to do this?
Nothing.
I need a raise. No.
Voluntold, god dang it.
Voluntold. No, it's one of those things that I feel like at different points in my life, and I mentioned this, like when I decided to move from Omaha to Norfolk, like sometimes certain things just happen at the right time and something just pushes me to make the decision. And like I said, there was different situational things at Daycos that just, and then you happened to, it was just this one day and you said, come in and talk to me again. And
that was that was after, because it was a long process. So we had already talked probably for at least 8 to 10 months.
Yeah. And I mean, I've never considered myself to be a salesperson. And that's how I've always seen insurance. And, like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I like people, but to go up to somebody and say, you should do this with me. Like, I feel like I'm not good at that. And so I'm like, Zach, I'm not a good salesman. And you're like, it's just relationships, Anita. And so I think in having enough of those conversations eventually, and you just hit me on the right day at the right time. And there was enough other things going on at work, at personal things, that I'm like, well, it's now or never. I mean, I'm not getting any younger. So if I'm going to do this, it's now or never.
I think on the salesman side, a lot of people don't realize, I mean, you worked at Big Red. 90% of Big Red are a server, a waitress, a bartender, waiter. It's all sales. Like, yeah, you're not really selling anything because they're already there as a customer. They're already going to buy whatever.
Right.
But it's the interpersonal communication more than anything, just to make it a comfortable experience. Yeah, some salesmen, you don't have to work to make a sale.
Yeah.
Some of it's just about how you communicate with people or are able to connect really on a personal level.
Yeah.
So,
and like Daycos, the type of work that we do there, I mean, like, you can learn computer skills, you can learn different things like that, but the actual kind of work that they do there, you don't learn in college. Like, you learn as you get there and you learn as you go.
That's almost any job.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. It was one of those things that being there for almost 12 years and being in as many different areas as I felt like I was an expert there in what I did, and I think that was the hardest part about making the switch, profession wise, was I went from being an expert in something to being a newbie all over again. And sometimes you just forget how hard that is. I kind of forgot how hard it is to go back to just being at base level. And Daycos was always something that you learn something new every day, and you have different challenges in front of you. And I think that some of that experience was great in the switch. And I mean, I guess throughout all of life, it's kind of just been a thing though too. So, you adapt, you learn, you grow, you take the challenge, and you decide you're going to do it. And, it was good to re-challenge my brain into something new again. And the fact that we had such a history together in friendship, definitely helped make that transition easier though, because I felt like I could be a little more honest in saying, what the hell am I doing? How do you work this system? This system is a weird system.
But I told you about all that ahead of time too. That was probably the nice thing that you got too, is that I told you just come in and just guns blazing.
Yep.
You know, and if you mess up, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. I don't know. It was, like I said, it was a lot of timing, and it was a lot of like, man, upstairs, you got to help me through this a little bit, you know? So
Vance
walk
and I
by
always say
faith.
there's no dumb questions. And I say that at work too. There's no dumb
Yep.
questions.
Yep.
Vance doesn't say that at work.
That's a little different.
Yeah.
The first time.
Yeah,
The first time, it's not a dumb question. The fifth time, I've
That's
answered
the difference.
It's
if
the
I've
number of
answered it
times.
5 times,
That's
Yeah,
the
it
difference.
is now a dumb question.
It's now dumb.
The
She,
first
she
time,
gets that from me too. If she asks multiple times,
the first time,
I
it's,
get the same way.
don't paint me in a bad light. The first time is never a dumb question. I will give everybody the benefit of the doubt the very first time, and I will do whatever I can. But the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 20th
Yeah.
time, then I'm going to have another issue with it. And then I'm going to call Ryan and be like, oh, I need this punching bag.
Just breathe. Just breathe.
So you're not going to like this next question, but how do you?
I'm not going to like it.
You won't.
'Kay.
How do you see the insurance space right now?
Ooh,
And you can be honest.
well,
It's okay.
when I started, and you know, I'd start going through some quotes, and I'm like, ooh, these rates, they're a little bit rough, and you're like, it'll level out, it'll balance out, it'll calm down, and it's only gotten worse. Like,
But at least it's not just us.
it's not just us. You're not wrong there. That's definitely something that's kind of helped along the way, but it's like you start to get to a spot where you're like, okay, this is going good, and then there'll be a little change in something, or you know, you'll take another rate increase, and you're like, oh, boogers, like we're right back to where we started.
Yeah.
But no, like it's so rewarding to be able to, I feel like so much of what I've learned is also in educating other people. And I think that when it comes to insurance, like until I got insurance with you, Zach, before I even started there, like I never had anybody explain what my policy actually meant to me. Like, this is what your liability limits actually mean. Or if they did, I don't remember it, and I wasn't a part of it, that decision or whatever. I was just like, oh, you think I should have this? Okay. So I feel like a lot of the relationship pieces is a lot of just education. And that's what I find has been so rewarding too, is like helping people actually understand what their coverage means,
Even if you don't get the sale, right?
even if I don't get the sale.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, some of them are like, oh, that's what that means? That's what that's for? Ooh, maybe I should. I've had more than a few different times where they're like, I'm going to go back to my actual agent and have this conversation with them, because I now know what this means, and now I'll compare rates to you and different things like that. But so, I mean, in the end, did my education maybe prevent me from actually getting them? Maybe. But they have a better understanding of it now. And at the end of the day, if rates change or if something else changes, it doesn't mean they don't come back. But
Well, this is why I even approached you about the job, because I knew you would approach it the same way that I do.
yeah,
Whereas even if I could help that person, even if I didn't get the sale, they're going to be better off that they came and saw me
yep,
than they were before.
yeah,
So that's just how we do business at my office.
yeah. Would the sale be nice to have a little more income? Of course, but I'm not going to do it in a compromising way that is going to negatively affect somebody else. That's not me.
This is going to kind of tie in with that. Do you think that we are in a position to really help some people, obviously, which is why we're kind of in this industry in the first place?
To help people.
Yeah.
You bet.
That's really what we're here for.
Yeah. And I mean, like we said, it's about helping those people actually understand, making sure that the things that they've worked so hard for are actually covered. And then, I mean, as we succeed, helping others in the community also succeed, and being involved in the community, and giving back in certain ways that way. So
I agree
which
with
was
you.
one thing that was good about Daycos as well. But it was also
philanthropy?
and like just being involved in the community and stuff and giving back in certain ways. And that was one thing that, I mean, I knew about you coming into that job was, you know, you started the land party and you were a sponsor for that and a sponsor for fixings in the field for the farmers and things like that. And coming from an ag background, you know, I loved that part about it too. So
I really pick and choose what I sponsor and what I don't.
yeah.
Especially in today's time, I don't, you know, the marketing budget's a little thin.
It's so much.
But I try to
Yeah.
support the things that, you know, we just did the Super Bowl last weekend for the Salvation Army, which I always, Brad sponsored it before me, and I told him that I'll keep it going until you tell me I can't anymore. So,
And that's something that maybe not everybody understands either, is like, that's just coming out of your own pocket. Like, that's not something that's
The
coming,
business.
that's out of your,
but
your
technically
agency.
out of my pocket, yeah.
So it's something that is a generous aspect of you and the business that we work with. It's not, you know, directly Farm Bureau.
Mm-hmm. And some of it gets overlooked a little bit. You know, like we were able to donate some food, and Main Street Market and Humphrey matched my donation.
Yeah.
And it was a cool thing. We just don't always, I'm really bad about trying to take credit for things. So it's hard for me. That's why I always make you do the post. Because I don't like writing something about
What I did.
Yeah.
You don't like virtue signaling.
No, I don't.
Some people love virtue signaling.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a big fan.
But we basically talk about it on almost every podcast, that the philanthropy side of it, you don't have to just donate a bunch of money or whatever, put something on. It's really rewarding just to be there in person, or just to give whatever you possibly could give. Right. It could be, all I have is 10 cents to give. I gave 10 cents. Like, nobody, I'm trying to think of the word. Nobody worth their salt is going to put you down for not being able to donate whatever you can, or help out in any way you can. Like, help is help. Like, it really is. And I respect any person that gives to anything, any amount. Like, it just really, I really enjoy that. And it is rewarding. It's selfishly, I say it every time, it's selfishly rewarding. Yeah. Doing something like that.
Well, and like, with this position and stuff too, I mean, we talk about flexibility a lot in what this position has, and it's allowed me to continue to help. I've been part of Relay for Life now for 12 years probably, but I haven't always been like the lead of it, I guess, the co-chair, but I don't have a lot of money to be able to do, you know, to contribute to that, but I'm able to donate time. I'm able to help the event actually happen and stuff like that. So that's something that also played into that decision as well. But
and you haven't had to make decisions on being able to see family when they need you, and that was part of the whole pitch that I gave you.
Yeah, and that was one thing that, I mean, kind of changed with the restructure that had happened at Daycos. My flexibility changed a lot, and so it was one thing that my dad and my mom, being a little in the older generation now, and my brother being down in Kansas, he's not as readily available to be able to always help him out. And I mean, my sister's in Columbus, she's got her own family going, and so it's just kind of I'm the easy option, I guess, to go and help mom and dad, and I love doing it. So being able to go home and help hay is huge. Like, my mom doesn't need to be out on a tractor in 110 degree heat index and stuff like that. Does she do it if she needs to? Yeah. Do I prefer her not? Absolutely. So it was definitely a huge decision and a bonus in that decision. So,
and she may work for me, but she's still kind of, you know, she's running her own business through me too. So the time she puts in is what she gets out of it.
Yep. And she got involved in the podcast too. So.
Another one of those voluntold things.
Well, you didn't have to twist my arm too hard.
I didn't.
No, you were ready.
No, you were a little nervous the first time. You did. I mean, you did the first interview.
Yeah.
Well, second technical, but the first co-hosted interview. So
yeah, I was like, I don't know how much to say. I don't.
Ryan didn't either the first time.
No.
We did useless, and now look at him. The last episode, he was all over the mic,
Chatty.
which is good.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Do you have any more questions on the insurance side?
No,
I don't want to ask too many.
No,
Do you have any?
No.
I got one question. When you were talking about, I know you guys have been going through a bunch of rate hikes and everything like that. Do you feel like you're being let down by the powers that be that are regulating this problem that we're going through? Like, it could be fixed on a legislative level, probably.
I don't want the government to get too involved in it.
Well, they're already involved,
I know they are.
and that's what put us down this path.
I agree with you. I just don't want them to come in and try to. I
What
don't
if
know
we
what the right word
repealed
is.
something
Double
like
dip.
Obamacare?
That would have that definitely. So that's on the healthcare side, but that definitely.
But I mean, it's kind of on the same. I mean, it's all part of it.
Yeah.
in a way.
I think yes, but I think there's also some things. It's just the evolution of technology too. I mean, like I was just talking with somebody today about, some of the auto insurance increases and stuff that we're seeing. Like back in the day, you'd hit a side mirror or something like that, and it'd be like a $200-300 fix to get a new mirror. Right now, it's like $2,000, $2,500.
That's another issue.
And that
though.
comes to the
Because
inflation side.
Yeah.
And there's just technologies in there now.
There's
You
not
have
there's not $2,000 worth of technology in a mirror. But I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, some
that's
of
part
it
of it.
has
It's part
like
of it, yeah.
the cameras for
Yeah.
heat, like heating elements and things.
Yeah.
I know, I get it, but some of it all just ties together a little bit too.
It just brings going on the insurance side of it. Obamacare was sold to us as it would get uninsured people insured, and we have the same amount of uninsured people as we've always had.
Right, and it's made it harder on people like
And that
her
money,
and I
that money
to
is
get insurance.
not gone on your side of it.
No.
But it's gone on your company's
Right.
Yeah.
pockets.
Yeah.
The insurance companies, the higher ups, the overall side of it, they are the ones that have taken the money out of
Your
it.
big healthcare companies for sure. Because
Yeah.
we like Farm Bureau doesn't sell it, State Farm doesn't sell it. Nobody sells it exclusively.
Yeah. No,
It's
I
all
get
coming
it.
through Blue Cross, Medica.
Yeah.
There's only like a few companies that still sell health insurance
I know. I'm just
at a high level.
I think we could remove some stuff
Well, I agree with you.
and we could get better overall.
I just
on
don't
the
like talking
insurance
about
side
health
of it.
insurance.
No,
so
I know.
if you on the other side of it, though, on the P&C side and the commercial, like on the property and casualty side of things, inflation has caused a huge problem. So I'll bring that down from COVID, Biden, the whole thing.
Yep.
Right. Rates were already kind of going up anyway, but inflation makes it even worse because then and when it happens that fast, insurance companies don't have time to make up for that rate hike or the cost of. So these rate increases that you're seeing from all companies, it's not just Farm Bureau, it's not just anything, is because of some of the storms that went through in 2022, 2023, and the rates weren't there to pay for it. So it's either company goes under or rates have to go up.
Yep.
The thing that I appreciate about Farm Bureau,
And
though,
I don't believe in it, but
Yeah.
that's their.
No,
that's
I'm
their,
just asking
yeah.
questions.
No,
Like,
no, I'm just telling you.
I'm not attacking you.
No, I know. I'm mad that it's happening too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on your side. I just don't want the government to get any more involved in bringing rates down
I didn't look at it.
outside of getting prices down.
That's not the way I'm looking at the
Okay.
government being involved.
That's what I
I'm
was
looking
getting
at the government repealing stuff on the back end,
Right,
stuff
I
that's
got you.
already involved. Get rid of some of that shit.
Right.
Right? Lower regulations.
Right.
Because that makes everything
I thought you wanted
better.
them to get more involved. And I was
No.
like,
Do
I was
not.
looking at you like, what are you doing?
Vance like government get
I was like, this is.
No.
I was like, who walked into my? What medicine did they give you last week?
Give him another
Never
shot.
listen to Vance Neidig speak.
Okay, sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was like, give him another shot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
no.
were you gonna say?
I'm just glad that while we have seen some rate increases, like everybody has, I appreciate though that we haven't restricted coverages really yet. So
Yeah, we're one of the few that hasn't done that.
yeah, so that
Knock on some
that's nice. I know, knock
fucking
on
wood.
wood, but
Quality coverage.
At the end of all that, do you think you made the right move?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
That's good. I'm glad.
There's some things that are still hard, but I mean, that's just life. No part of life is always perfect 100% of the time. So
just listening to your story so far up to this point, it reminds me. I literally just talked about this on Sunday night with my parents. I was listening to Mike Rowe does a podcast called The Way I Heard It, which is kind of in the vein of Paul Harvey's The Rest of the Story, just as a long form version of it. And he told a story of a younger guy, went to work. His older sister asked him to come to work at a beauty salon. He said, I'll try it. So he did it. He started fixing old ladies' hairs, giving blowouts, cutting their hair, doing stuff like that.
Mike Rowe?
No,
he's telling a story about
this guy. And so he did it while one of the old ladies died. And the daughter said, hey, will you run down to she loved how you did her hair. Would you run down to the mortuary and give her a blowout? And he said, yeah, I'll do it. And he took his makeup with him, took a makeup kit with him, never done makeup before. Did the makeup. Well, it turned into every one of these clients, he started going to the mortuary and doing this all the time, doing their makeup. Somebody saw him doing this at somebody that worked at the College of Art or whatever, of like acting and stuff like that, and said, hey, will you come to and do makeup for our people? And he said, yeah, I'll do it. It sounds like a good idea. So he went and started doing that. And then somebody said, well, hey, will you come? We have an opening. Will you do this part in a play? Yeah, I'll try it. Let's see what happens. So he did that. And he goes on. And then somebody asked him to come read for a part. They said, we already have somebody, but we just want to hear how you'll read for it. Knowing he can't get the job, he went and read for it. And so he went and read for it. Didn't get the job. So they got this other guy. Well, that other guy ended up taking another job, another play, the day before opening, and said, hey, we know we didn't give you this. Will you come do it? And he said, yeah, I'll come do it. And that guy ended up being Danny DeVito. Like just because he said yes, he started saying yes.
Yeah.
I'll try it. I'll try it. I'll try it. I'll try it. And just got better and better. He had no training. He just did it.
Yeah.
And that just seems kind of like you going to Daycos and taking a new job. Never done it. Yeah, I'll learn it on the way. Coming and working for Zach. Yeah, I'll learn it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a really, like, a lot of people just need to say yes and stuff like that.
And I feel like if you don't actually take the opportunity to learn new things, whether it's in a job, it doesn't have to be a job change, but if you're not learning something new it doesn't have to be every day, but I'd say learning every day is not a bad thing, but that's how you keep growing. That's how you keep evolving. And I don't know, it's just something that I've always considered something to be a priority for me, is just continuing to keep growing and learning. So
have to. That's how you got to get through life. Can't just. That's why that's how the world's kind of got where it's gotten.
If you're stagnant, you fall behind.
Well, we're definitely falling behind as a nation.
Oh yeah.
So let's take a quick pause here, and we'll come back in just a second. So now that you've lived here for over 10 years, what are your overall thoughts on Norfolk?
Well, initially I was like, a lot of people ask me, why Norfolk? Why not O'Neill? Why not Columbus, where your sister's
Why not back to Ewing? Yeah.
Why not back to Ewing? A lot of it boiled down to where's their job opportunities at, and something that I would enjoy doing. And so at the time, like, there wasn't really anything in Ewing that I knew that I would be a good fit for. Kind of the same thing with O'Neill. And not that I necessarily didn't like Columbus. I like Columbus, but I think I still kind of wanted to have a little bit of my own identity, separate from my sister and stuff like that. Because I think sometimes we tend to just fall into what's easy. And I think so. I still wanted to challenge myself in a little different way. So Norfolk, in the conversations that I had earlier, I thought I could,
secure the job at Daycos and things like that. So I liked the size of the town. Obviously, coming back from Omaha, I was like, I need something smaller. I want to get back to something that's not so busy and so large. And it was very good middle ground between my sister and my parents. It's about an hour one way and 45 minutes the other way. So it was just good middle ground. And at the time, my brother and his wife lived in Neely before they moved back down to Kansas. So it was just a good kind of central point to all the other points. So that's initially what kind of brought me back here. So
what do you think, like, as far as like the city itself?
Where
it has got, like, how it has grown or how it has evolved since you've been here?
I've always felt safe here. I'll say that. And as far as, activities and stuff to do, I think when I first initially moved back here, I would say there wasn't a whole lot besides going to the movies or going bowling or going to the bar. But I think
technically that's still pretty much all we have.
I mean, it is, but we have some additional things now. I mean, you can go axe throwing. You can go...
Which is a bar.
Well, yeah, but you're still doing something while you're there. Yeah, like added things. Sometimes district will do like different game nights and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like it's evolved quite a bit, especially the downtown. But I think we've talked to you before about how it seems to just kind of circulate. Like the mall was the big thing. Downtown wasn't. Downtown's now a big thing. The mall's not as much. But I don't know. It just seems homey. I can still run into some people that I know sometimes, but not in the same way as like small town USA where you literally know everybody. But
yeah, I can still make a trip around town and not run into anybody.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's far and few between, but it can still happen every now and then.
Yeah.
So you worked a lot of your years with Relay for Life while you've been here.
Yeah.
Going back to kind of the philanthropy. That's why I didn't want you to get too far into it before. 'Cause we were going to have a big piece about it. But could you give the listeners that maybe may not know some insights into what that is?
Relay for Life is the fundraising organization for the American Cancer Society. So that's just the funds that come about to help with research and different programs and stuff with cancer. So I have quite a lot of family history with cancer, and is initially kind of what got me started into it. Daycos had at the time, their Just for Joe Relay for Life team was huge, like 30 people on this team, pretty much practically everybody that worked there, because Joe Alexander worked at Daycos, and she was and I wish I could have met her. She made amazing caramels, homemade caramels that she passed the recipe on to. So I got to learn about her a little bit through that way. But she was an amazing individual that touched a lot of people there. And so they developed their Relay for Life team in her honor. And so that's initially kind of what got me involved in there, because, like I said, we have quite a family history of those affected by cancer. So that was just an easy join for me.
What has been your role there over the years? It's kind of changed over the years? It's
changed. I started out as just a team member, just helped do some fundraising stuff. And at the event itself, the event has changed so much.
When you say team member, do you mean relay team or for the Relay for Life team overall? The organization itself.
Yeah, so Relay for Life is the fundraising organization, right? But you can have your own individual team that is just part of the Relay for Life organization, basically. That, we had a little Daycos team that we raised funds that goes to the Norfolk area Relay for Life. And for a long time, I think Nucor had a team, and the newspaper had a team, and just different companies and stuff around town would have their own little team that everybody would just have their own little fundraising events to just go towards Relay for Life or the American Cancer Society. If that helps clear that up at all. So I started out as just a member of the Just for Joe team that just helped do some fundraising. I put on some volleyball tournaments and stuff there for a while. I think, gosh, how many years did we do that? Maybe 5?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm trying to think. We always had a T-shirt every year.
We did. I just remember the tab the first year.
Yeah, we have some fun at that volleyball tournament.
If you ever wondered if you could rack up a $750 tab at Big Red, it's possible.
It's possible. When it's all
With
day.
5 people.
When it's all day, yeah. The shots, the food, the drinks.
Yeah.
So I was just a general teammate for a while. And then one year we always have an American Cancer Society rep that works with some of the local relays and stuff like that, just to kind of help be a supporting system. So I went from just being a team member to I got recruited to be a co-chair for the event. So I went and I was actually part of the leadership group of the relay event. So you're just helping organize, everything from, making sure that you have some kind of entertainment, you have porta potties if you need them, you have trash cans, you're setting up your survivor meal food, you're getting the T-shirts in order, you're, just kind of dabbling in all the pots and making sure all your committee members have the resources and things that they need to keep things moving. So I was a co-chair for, oh boy, I want to say I've kind of been involved in the leadership now for probably the last 5 years
It's been
or
a while.
so. Yeah. So when I did a job change, I officially said I don't want to technically be considered a co-chair just because, I wanted to be able to settle into my job a little bit, and I wasn't sure what kind of time I would have for everything yet. I knew that I had the flexibility to do what I needed and what I wanted, but I wanted to be able to settle in professionally.
Yeah. You knew who you were going to go work for, and you knew the type of person he was, and be like, I can't have any extra commitments. I need to take a minute or two.
Yeah. No, it just goes to some of the work ethic, I guess. I wanted to make sure that I could, and some of it goes down to if I'm not good at this job, I'm not making money, and I need to be able to pay the bills. So as much as I would love to be able to devote whatever time I wanted to make sure that I was also setting myself up professionally successful. So, so I said, I don't necessarily, I want to still be involved. I still kind of basically did what I did as a co-chair, just without the title, which I don't care about the title, but so it's, I've been involved with it for a lot of years now.
I told her she could if she wanted to. That was the whole thing. It was her choice.
Yeah,
I assume that, but I got to get that dig in every now and then.
Yeah. I did tell her
it might not be over here, so I got to give it to you.
I told her it might not be the most advantageous thing to be obligated for all the time, but I said when the actual event comes, take all the time you need.
Yeah.
But I also told her this would also give us more of an opportunity to maybe help out more in the financial aspect too. Yeah.
But it's so hard right now because I think about when I first joined Relay like 10 years ago or however long ago it was huge.
That's what
honestly.
I was gonna say.
Like it was at the high school track. There was over like 70 teams. And now I think this last year we maybe had like 13 to 15 teams. Like it's
What do you think has caused that?
There has been a lot of fundraising competition that has been added in. Like at the time that Connie Day is actually one that started the Relay for Life in the Norfolk area. She had gone down to Lincoln and said, I think we need to do this in Norfolk. And she ended up being diagnosed with cancer and stuff and passed from that. But I think since it started, at the time that it started, it was one of like the only real fundraising organizations around Norfolk. It was like the new shiny penny kind of thing too. You know, it was a new vibrant thing. And since then, I mean, Briggs and Barrett's come about, and
there's a lot
for the girls, and they have the big give, and there's so many additional fundraising things that have popped up. And I think too, some of it is we didn't start fundraising any school stuff until I was in like junior high. And even then it was like, let's do a bake sale at a basketball game. Yeah. And now I have, like, when my nieces and nephews were in preschool, they're like, you want to buy trash bags? And they start fundraising and things like that so early.
You want to buy,
Speaking of that, my kids are selling stuff right now. Buy some stuff.
What a plug!
Is it trash
what
bags?
a plug that was! You want to come? You want to come work for me?
Yeah, you got a good sales.
Right?
Yeah,
it's cookies and stuff.
Hey, I mean,
we'll talk after.
Well,
the podcast. I might buy some.
I would love to say yes to cookies, but I can't these days.
You're good.
No, so I think that just the dynamic of everything has changed between competitions and new organizations that have popped up. The fact that, preschoolers are fundraising nowadays.
I just said, I have a certain budget too.
Yeah.
Every company's got a budget.
Yeah. And I think sometimes too, what catches people up with Relay and the American Cancer Society is a lot of people like to see exactly where their donation is going. And with Relay, you don't necessarily, like, a couple of years ago, there was a $8,000 grant that was given to the hospital here that was for transportation for people that needed treatments and different stuff like that. It was before, the North Fork or whatever our transit system had started and different things like that. But, so, I mean, you, in different grants and stuff that would come back, you would see it. But part of what the American Cancer Society is research. And you
don't see the research.
You don't necessarily see the research. If you go to their website, you can see all the programs and stuff that are happening, but you have to go out and you have to look for it, and you have to, put in a little work to find what's actually happening. But I mean, you think about some of the cancer treatments and how they've evolved and stuff like that. It kind of pisses me off that cancer even still exists right now. I'm not going to say that I don't think that there's a cure out there, and we're just purposefully withholding it. But it doesn't.
I might go that far.
I would go that far.
Yep. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to stop fighting for people that have been affected by it. Right. So.
Yep.
I don't blame you whatsoever.
So yeah.
I just think
really
they're
cool.
withholding it, but.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very awesome that you do that, and you're very passionate, because you and I have actually gotten into, I wouldn't call them arguments, but we've talked about that same thing where I don't feel the money in these big organizations are going, enough of it is going where it needs to go.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
That's a lot of 501c3s are that way. And a lot of not-for-profits, you have to kind of pay attention to how they're ran, the difference between Salvation Army and Goodwill. The way you just look at the way it's ran organizationally at the top. Goodwill is a not-for-profit. They're for profit. I mean, the CEOs and everything take all the money. The Salvation Army people are the people that are donating their time.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you kind of look into stuff like that. And like you said, it's a lot of saturation. I've noticed that a lot too. There's a lot of saturation in the market. Yeah. And like Zach says, there's only so much money that can be given.
Yeah.
And then there's also only so much, not only money, but there's only so much time that can be donated from people.
Right.
So.
And there's, I don't know. I don't want to say that it's a dying thing, but to a certain extent, it almost is a dying thing. I mean, we're battling to keep it alive, but if you look at the people that are actually still involved in it, they're older. It's hard to get the younger generation involved in charitable things, at least we're having issues on the relay side, finding younger people to, I mean, everybody knows somebody that's been affected by cancer in some way. Cancer is far too common everywhere.
Yeah, it's extremely prevalent.
I mean, my aunt just passed away last Monday from it, so
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That sucks. And I really wish it didn't exist. It's a bitch. I hate cancer so much, but it's hard to keep it alive when, I mean, the people that are still a part of it were a part of it when it started. And I mean, we're going on like 28 or something years of it now. Yeah. And so some of these people are ready to enjoy retirement. They've put in their work. They've put in years and years and years into this fundraising thing. And they're ready to hand the ropes off to somebody else. But there's not people stepping up to be a part of it.
I think there's a lot of younger people that it's difficult to get them involved, a majority of people, in any type of fundraising, volunteerism, any of that type of stuff. But the ones that are involved, a percentage of those kind of want to make their own mark. And so they want to start something new, or they want to start something that means a lot to them for some reason. And that's kind of where we go into the newer things that have come along from Briggs and Barrett, which is a local organization for a certain reason and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I think that's a lot of younger generation. They kind of want to make their own mark. Yeah. And so that's where the Relay for Life, which has been around for a long time, it's a faceless, faceless organization. So you're not really, you may not feel like you're making the mark that some people selfishly maybe want to make their own mark that way. But
I'm kind of that way.
Yeah. Where you kind of want to make your own, own deal.
I've told her that too. I said, I don't want to have you ever get out of what you believe in and what you want to do.
Yeah, for sure.
But I said there maybe are things that we can do when we're in a good spot to be able to set up to maybe have 100% of the proceeds go to wherever we want it to go.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm okay with volunteering my time. I don't need to be the CEO of something and get that and take a paycheck from it.
Yeah.
Because I don't get I get that the organization needs to make money to be able to provide certain things or put on certain events, but there doesn't need to be paid volunteers or whatever you're gonna call it.
I see that, but in some ways, I also know that we wouldn't make the progress that we do.
Right.
I mean, these people have to make their own livings too. If they're devoting, I mean, like our American Cancer Society partner that we have, like she'll call me at 8:30 sometimes at night. She's still working. I don't think they just work 40-hour weeks and things like that. And like, I know we wouldn't accomplish a lot of the things that we do without her help.
I agree with you. I'm talking at the head of the CEO, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Not those people are working their asses off. Yeah. People like you, people like her, and maybe even the next few steps up. But when you get to the top of that, that's where I have the problem, because they're also be the ones that are getting paid the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
To do what?
I get that.
For the actual thing. So.
Yep. No, I get it.
Yep. I know this is a very important cause to you because of all the loss that you've had for it. So I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing.
No, you're good.
I just think that there's more money that can be spread for that, in my opinion.
I think some of it too, like HIPAA obviously there's good things about HIPAA and protecting people's privacy and stuff, but I think it's also kind of restricted our ability to
know where it goes.
Yeah, and to be able to know who could use it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, some people don't want,
and it's very private to some people.
There's people that don't want people to know.
Exactly.
I was listening to I don't know if I caught it on TikTok or a podcast or something, but it was a guy who was like talking about, the question was put forth, say you found out you had 30 days to live, would you tell everybody? And, go tell everybody and then try to spend time with them. And he said, No, I wouldn't tell anybody if I'm not big
Already
enough.
important.
If I'm not important enough for you to take time out of your day to, whatever, then you can deal with it when I'm gone.
That's kind of how I would be. I am that way.
I see both sides of that.
That's kind of hard for me.
So I know people that way too. So like, I'm not going to name any names on the podcast, but I have people close to me. I would be the same way, but I have people close to me that feel that same way. If you aren't in my life now, I don't want you to know, and you don't need to, because then it also is a double-edged sword.
Because then you do feel guilty.
But if you do tell them, and then they don't do anything either,
well, then you know.
I know,
that's
but still,
different.
Why put yourself through that too?
I get that.
Yeah.
But I look at it as like I don't need the fake virtue signaling.
Right.
I don't need the
10 days of you guys wanting to hype me up and
guilty
and then not and then not sticking around for the hard part of it.
That's interesting.
See, there's different sides.
Because
Vance and I always see the bad, not the bad, but the I don't know.
I also
more realism side of it.
I actually, my first thought was going to the other side, like being somebody like, you have 30 days to live. Are you going to tell me or not? Like, I put myself in, I didn't think about the situation as I have 30 days to live, but I'm one of your friends.
Yeah.
And you are just given 30 days to live. What I want you to tell me.
I understand what you're saying.
Because I feel like it's something that is so hard depending on what stage of life you're into. Like, if you're 90 years old and you've lived a long, great life.
It's whatever at that point, in my opinion. I mean, it is, old people die. That's what happens. You get old and you die. Yeah.
But if I've had young people die in my life that have been super close to me. Yeah. And if I would have known, I would have, in a heartbeat, have been there. I would have gobbled up that chance. And it's not because, like, if I didn't see him in 30 days, it's not because I didn't care about him.
Right. Yeah. I didn't mean it that way.
I know.
It's a thought-provoking conversation that I heard. And
I also wouldn't want to be treated any differently.
No, that's the thing about it.
Yeah.
You're going to feel like somebody's going to feel, if I'm looking on the other, like I see the side you're coming from, because it's difficult. On survivor guilt is a real thing. Yeah. And that we've talked about this on suicides and stuff like that. Yep. It's a really difficult thing. But on the other side of it, where I want my 30 days to just be normal. That's the way I would want to be. I don't want somebody to dote on me. I don't want somebody to feel bad for me. I don't like extreme sympathy, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
you want to live your life the way you
just
live.
Let me, we're going to do what we do.
If you had a friend that came to you and said, I have 30 days to live, but don't make a big deal out of it, how are you going to react? You going to make a big deal out of it?
Probably. Everybody is.
Are you?
I think so.
I would try my damnedest not to. If
you
that's
would try
their
not
wish,
to, but the human condition, you're going to be grieving at that point. Yep. The minute they tell you that, you may think you're not going to grieve,
but you're preparing for losing someone you care about.
Yeah,
but I'm also going to try to live in that moment as much as possible, because I know that my moments are now limited, and so I'm not gonna. And I can always say that this is how I would react, but until I'm actually in that situation, is it actually how I would? Yeah. But I'm going to say, let's go out and get drunk, and let's go do the things that we normally would have done anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's what we would have done.
I could see that. I understand what you're saying.
But then you're also unique in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that I just know. I know for a fact there's certain people I would tell I would be treated differently afterwards.
Don't get me wrong. You'd probably have to give me 5 minutes to bawl my goddamn eyes out.
No, that's not how it works.
Then.
And so playing devil's advocate here. So you do that. And girl, I tell you this. And you say, yeah, let's go get drunk. We're going to do this. We're going to do everything we'd do anyways. what makes you think that me or whoever told you isn't having it in the back of their mind thinking they're feeling bad for me.
They're just doing this because
I told them, and this is what it is.
Then you may not have been as close as friends as you actually thought you were.
I'm just, I get it. Yeah. It's thought provoking.
It goes to how close that relationship is to me.
Well,
I mean, like if you're more of a common acquaintance to me, then my mind's probably more naturally going to go there.
I think the conversation that I heard was more based towards the common acquaintance. You're probably going to tell your 5 closest confidants. You're going to tell them.
Yeah.
Most likely. Maybe not. But I think it kind of went towards there's certain people, like, why tell them?
You guys will probably know the day I die.
I'm probably the same way. If I ever find out.
Yeah. That's the other thing.
I don't see that happening.
Finding out if it's there. Anyway, I'm going to pause that part of it, not pause the podcast, pause that part of it, because we're going to kind of get into that a little bit. So I didn't want to get all that all at once. So you have dealt with more loss than most people that I know. You've lost, friends and family to many different things.
Yeah.
Could you walk us through? I know that those losses hit you a little differently.
Yeah.
Is there one of those or a few of those hardest to get through that you would be okay with speaking about?
Sure. Obviously, I mean, we kind of touched base on, somebody who's 90 years old and has lived a full, what I would say, natural life process. To me is something that's easier to, oh God, he's bringing the Kleenexes over. He knows me. It's something that is much, much more natural and I think easy to deal with because it's how life's supposed to happen.
Right.
You're supposed to grow old. You're supposed to watch your kids, your grandkids, or, just live a full life. And so I think while those losses are still super hard, it's easy to see it as a life of celebration because it's been full.
Right.
Damn it.
I know.
When it comes to young people, it's so hard because, especially if it's unexpected.
So I was going to try to remember some of the younger ones that you went through, and I could not remember how. Yeah. So I was gonna try to speak through that, but if you can start, I can maybe walk you through, help you through it.
Some of the youngest losses that I've had, my brother went to college out at Chadron. Some of his friends became my friends, and I always called him my little crippled buddy. And everybody's like, God damn, that's so harsh. And I'm like, well, he was. And he would laugh about it too. Like, if you knew Clayton, you knew, like, he had severe scoliosis. He had hip plates in to help him walk. He would walk with the little crutches and things like that. And when he actually ended up getting staph infection in his hip plates. And so it was a super bad deal. He ended up spending almost a year at Madonna down in Lincoln. And that was back when I still lived in Omaha. And so I would actually go down and see him like once a week. Like every Thursday I'd go down and see him, and we'd play lemonade P&A with the nurses. And we played a lot of Phase 10, watched a lot of Wheel of Fortune, and I'd try to kick his ass, but it never worked. I snuck some beer into him on New Year's Eve. That was our little secret. A lot of green apple licorice seemed to be his thing too, but he turned into another brother basically, and it was kind of a freak thing. His nickname for me was Heifer, and everybody would probably be like, God, what a dick. But he loved his cows.
Right.
He was a rancher through and through, and he had so much pride in his cattle herd, his heifers, and so it was actually meant to be a term of endearment.
Yeah.
So, but he was kind of like another brother to me. But so he went out, and I think he was checking his heifers and stuff, and he was in a side-by-side and was heading back into town on his way home, and one of the tires blew and it just rolled over into the ditch and fell on top of him. So that was 4 years ago, I think now. So it's those unexpected things that's just like, what just happened? So he was one. My cousin AJ, he was 27. After the second COVID shot is when he passed. Had a little girl that was 2 years old at the time. And yeah, so that one was super hard, super unexpected.
Did they ever do a determination on that one?
Well, they did an autopsy, and honestly, it took forever for the autopsy to come back. Like, I think of somebody getting an autopsy, and I'm like, oh, it'll take like a couple weeks. This was months and months. I think he passed away right before Thanksgiving a couple years ago. And I think it was like at least maybe until April, I think, when his autopsy results came back. And nothing COVID related, supposedly nothing relating to the shot. They said it was something stupid, like with his liver, something like that, like something that you would expect somebody who's a pure alcoholic or something, and he was not. You don't expect just a 27-year-old to go to bed and not wake up,
right.
Like, or to take a nap and not wake up.
Right.
So, and not with that kind of condition. So, I don't know. You can go into different theories and stories and stuff with that.
What are your thoughts on that one?
You can't tell me it wasn't because of the shot. That's just 100% my belief. But I don't know.
I'd be right there with
I
you.
would. Just the timing of it all was too coincidental for me, and just some of the other reports and stuff that came back with, the myocarditis and different heart things. Supposedly there was none of the autopsy results came back with anything heart related that I'm aware of, but I believe he had talked to his brother about how he felt like his heart was racing at one point in time and different things like that. So,
well, that's what death is. Your heart stops. So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's maybe not in the autopsy, but the heart stopped.
Yeah.
And if he was having complications, yeah. After you told me that story the first time, I'm like, I don't see how it couldn't be from the shot. But
yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah,
that's shitty. That's really
very
shitty.
shitty.
I don't wish that on anybody.
I don't wish it on anybody either.
We go back to if you have 30 days or if you don't, having the chance to be able to say goodbye to somebody there's something to that. I think about my cousin Tammy, her husband Jeff, just brushing his teeth one morning, had a widowmaker heart attack and was gone like that. So, it's one of those things you think you have an unlimited amount of time and you don't.
Right.
Not always. So.
Yeah, it's a tough thing when it happens suddenly like that. Heart attacks or AJ, things like that.
Yep.
It's definitely tough.
Like death is extremely difficult forever. It's difficult. I hate it. The one thing I feel super guilty about in my life is I've avoided funerals or visitations of people I probably should have never avoided them, but I just hate them that much. I can't. I have a hard time with it. I really can't do it.
I avoided them in my 20s.
I've gotten better in the last couple years.
Yeah.
Basically, my two grandpas dying has probably changed that for me a little bit. But I think it goes back to when I was younger. I remember like my great grandma dying or great grandpa, one of them. I just remember being miserable, like just absolutely miserable, because I'm a kid and you don't know it. And I think that scarred me to where I've had people, acquaintances that I just didn't go. And I knew I should have, and I felt bad, and I was there in spirit maybe, but I think that was emotional, something spiritually in me that wasn't mature enough to be able to handle that type of feeling.
I feel like I've gone through different waves of grief. Like I remember going to funerals my dad's dad passed away when I was, I think, 3 or 4. And I don't necessarily fully remember his funeral. Mm-hmm. I remember it happening, and I remember having to stay at my great uncle Al's house because the water was so high in the creek. We had to stay at my great uncle Al's that night because we didn't know if it was safe to cross the bridge to stay home, or if the water was still rising, and we didn't know if we'd be able to get back out. And he happened to be on the right side of the creek, you know. But I remember going to a number of funerals when I was younger, just because my dad's side really was older. Right. And so, I mean, I remember so many funerals as a kid. And I remember my grandma died she died in 2000. So I would have been 16 at the time. And I remember funerals not necessarily being a huge emotional thing when I was super young, but then when I hit, junior high, high school, and they were people that I had actually spent a lot of time around, they started being super emotional. And then you go through so many, and you have like this initial grieving process, and like just talking about it, sometimes I'll start crying. But I feel like as I've gotten older, though, too, the grief pattern is a little bit different. Like when it's come to the actual funeral, sometimes there is a certain peace in being able to say that goodbye for me. And I couldn't imagine, while they suck, I couldn't imagine not going and saying goodbye in some way. Yeah. AJ was one of the only funerals that wasn't like an open casket for people that I had known that had passed away. So that was a little bit of a different experience for me, because I felt like it was a little bit of a different closure.
AJ?
So honestly, okay, so for you listeners out there, literally the lights in this room just turned on.
No, it was just the one. The one was out, and I looked at it, I was like, I need to change that bulb, and then all of a sudden you started saying that, and it just
But let me tell you about this. So
it was on before. I don't know when it shut off.
After AJ passed,
it's been off pretty much the whole time.
Has it?
Yeah.
His brother and his sister went to a medium, and she had actually talked to them about like how sometimes these people will come back in the like a cardinal, different things like that. She had actually made the comment to them that AJ is through electricals.
God dang it.
It's weird.
It's super weird. I'm not a big
And so like their first Thanksgiving that they actually had after that, or their first holiday that they were a family guy, right? Together. He was an amazing man.
Awesome.
Okay.
He was amazing.
I'm getting chills over here. Like, it's bad. It's that bad.
No. And so their first holiday around the table together, the light kept flickering. And like their light literally never had before that. And so I don't know. I don't know if everybody believes necessarily all of that stuff. But
Obviously, I do.
that's
Zach's going through some emotions right now.
I know. I just find that was
The good
just,
news is we're not in my house. We're in Zach's house. So.
Right.
no.
But we haven't had any issues yet. So
Yeah. No.
nothing but good spirits up in here.
That's right. No.
Hopefully he doesn't have any ill will towards Zach.
Yeah. Hopefully.
No. I feel like you two would have gotten along really well.
Good deal.
But no. So I don't know. Death is just weird.
So
and
you were talking about you're young to you're old.
Yeah.
Do you think some of that is also, and with you too, do you think some of that is also seeing your own mortality at some point? Like maybe when you're young, you think you're invincible, whatever, and you start going to more funerals when you're older, you're like, oh man, I could be the next one, type of thing, or no?
I don't. Maybe in a way, subconsciously, I look at it more as I've grown more on my spiritual journey, more
Gotcha.
in my belief on the afterlife and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
That's the way I look at it, as in deeper understanding of that type of deal.
Okay.
I think for me, I feel like when it's unexpected, it's the whole thing about you never know. And so
Right.
you need to live life to the fullest right now. And it's a little reminder of that. But I think at the root of it, I still feel like there's still this invincibility,
Still?
which is weird.
Yeah.
Which is weird because obviously it was just proven that we never know when our time's going to be up.
Right.
But
I'm
I
the same way.
feel like it's such a weird, death is such a weird concept still if you're looking at it as your own death. And it's
I'm weird. I think about it a lot.
I don't think about it
That
for
might be the parent
myself.
side of you. Thinking about
As soon
what,
as I had kids, that's when it really got to me. And then more funerals, obviously, as I got older. That's what it was. But, making sure I'm here for the kids. I'm more cautious about what I do in a day-to-day basis. I'm not as crazy as I once was, I guess. I don't know.
I still
Nobody makes it out of this alive.
no.
I know that. But I can make it longer.
No,
Whenever it happens,
I don't look at it that. I look at it as everybody's got a time,
Yeah.
yeah.
and there's nothing you can do to change it. In my opinion, that's the way I look at it.
and make the most of it. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
I still don't feel like I look at it as when something like that happens. It's not about my mortality necessarily. I think it's still a reminder of I don't know how much time I have left with other people.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily look at it as my own. It's time with other people is still super important. But
So, is there any other ones that you wanted to talk about at all? While you got the microphone, you got all the time you need.
I know.
So if you don't, that's fine. If you do,
Those have just been some of the biggest heavy hitters lately.
Yeah.
I will say, like, we talk about the opportunity to say goodbye sometimes, and for the most part, I haven't really had the opportunity to say goodbye to many. My uncle Lawrence passed away this last April, and he was the first one. Like, he had kind of been declining for a little while. He was in his upper 80s, so he had a long, fabulous life. Great kids, great family, great grandkids, all super close. But him and Aunt Ellen were the damn cutest. They're the traditional little couple that you think is sitting side by side next to each other, holding hands all the time and all that stuff. They're cute as hell. So when Aunt Ellen died, it took a toll on Uncle Lawrence. And talking to some of my cousins and stuff, they're like, after Aunt Ellen died, he was just never the same. And he had COPD. He had some different health issues and stuff that he had been going through. And so he had celebrated his birthday, and then just kind of steadily declined. I was at my parents', and Dad and I were about to go fix some fence across the creek, and my mom called and she said, I got a call. Uncle Lawrence, he's really not doing good. Like, I need to go to Albion and be with him or whatever. And I said, Mom, I'll come take you. And she's like, I don't know if I want you to see him in this state. Like, I don't want his current state to be how you remember him. And I remember walking in the room, and I mean, like, my cousins and stuff are like, Uncle Lawrence, he would have hated knowing that all of these people were in this room, seeing him in this state, you know, because, I mean, he was at the end of life, and you could tell that without the assistance of pain meds and morphine and stuff like that, like, he would make, you know, faces if you moved him the wrong way. You could tell that he was in a certain amount of pain with it. But it was such a nice service in the room itself. One of my cousins had her partner, Ruth, I think it was her brother, is like a pastor. And he came in and said, you know, I want everybody in this room to have the opportunity to say what they want to say to Uncle Lawrence. He, like, share a memory about him. And, like, it was one of the coolest, saying it's cool is a weird word to say, but for lack of a better word, it was a very emotional but wonderful opportunity to hear other people talk about their memories of him and to reflect on your own memories of him. And at one point in time, he said, you know, go put your hand on him, tell him what you want to say just between the two of you. And so it was an opportunity like I hadn't had. And for my mom, I know she's like, well, I don't want you to see him like this because I don't want that to be how you remember him. And at the end of it, while I can still see in my head how he was, that's not how I actually remember him.
Right.
Because I had years and years of other memories of him.
Right.
So having the opportunity to be able to say goodbye was actually one of the coolest things that I've had.
Right.
Because you don't always get that goodbye.
And it probably helps with some of the grief too, going forward.
It does, because when it came to his actual funeral, while it was a sad occasion, that was actually one of the funerals that I felt was a true celebration of letting go. Mm-hmm. Because I saw the pain he was in and the pain that he was no longer in.
Right.
And I mean, some of it goes to what kind of faith you have.
Yeah.
But I knew he was back with Ellen and he no longer had to miss her.
Right.
And I don't know. It was a different experience for me.
I think you see that a lot more of married couples.
Yeah.
The female will tend to live a lot longer if the male dies first, but usually if the female dies first, the male, I've seen it many, many, many times. They're a ticking time
Quick
bomb
process,
at that point. Because they live for their wife. I mean, that's what they lived for. They were the provider. They just, once that was gone, it was over at that point. Why hang around? And I think that's a difference between men and women. Biologically, I noticed that a lot. It's just something in our DNA makes
you
it that way.
also see it like recently after retirement.
Same thing. Yeah. Once the purpose is gone, I noticed that in my one grandpa, once he retired from Farm Bureau and stopped we wouldn't allow him to run tractors anymore or do that type of thing. It just he had his wife, my grandma was still around and kept him going for a long time, but like he aged a lot in 5 to 10 years. Yeah. Right. And like you say, I was in the room for the last rites of my one grandpa. I don't remember him like that. I mean, I kind of blocked that vision out. I didn't like it, didn't enjoy it. It was a miserable experience for me.
Yeah.
I just didn't, it wasn't miserable. It was an uncomfortable experience more than anything. But yeah, I still, I can vision him right now, and it has nothing to do with what he was like for the last 10 years, really. He's still my grandpa from 25 years ago, 30 years ago. Is how I see him. And both grandpas are that way. And they both were frail at the end, and I don't remember him that way.
Right.
Just like you talked about. You don't want to vision him like that, but you move that out. You have your other memories.
Yep.
Exactly.
Your brain does that for you.
There's more better memories than there are of the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know. I obviously get emotional about it, and I applaud. These are such weird words to use when you're talking about death.
Okay.
But
I've got you all flustered.
I'm a little jealous in it, and I truly find myself being envious of the people that can sometimes put those emotions aside and just truly celebrate the life that they had. And I know, like in John Hausman's podcast and stuff like that, like they push through the grief, and because they
still had
wanted
grief,
to
though.
celebrate. Well, yeah. But I mean, it's one of those things.
Everybody
Sometimes
fights through it a different way.
I'm just a hot mess for a while, but then I get through it.
It's okay.
But
I'm happy for people that are. I believe once you're gone, that's your eternal life, anyways. So I look at it that way. I believe that's what gets me to where I don't care if I die. I really don't. It's when I go, it's my time to go, because then I got my eternal life.
a song that will kill me every time I hear it. Carrie Underwood, Temporary Home.
Yeah.
Will kill me every time.
I'll keep that off the playlist.
I don't even know that. I don't know.
I don't know if I know that one either.
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much just
That's
talks
basically
about.
saying here.
I get what it is.
On life,
Yeah.
Here on Earth.
Here on Earth is temporary. Yep.
Yep.
So, can you walk us through how you really do stay in such good spirits though? Like, obviously we got you emotional here.
Yeah.
But on a normal basis, when we're talking about it afterwards, or you get past the first set of emotions, you do stay in pretty good spirits through all the loss that you've dealt with. For the listeners, can you give any advice of how to deal with that? How to deal with some of the loss and get through the grief?
A lot of it for me just goes back to the faith that my parents instilled in me growing up. They were they've always been go to church every week, keep that relationship with God. And I think when you're dealing with loss, if you believe that if you believe that there's life after this life, you want to believe that it's a life with something that's way better than anything we can imagine here. Mm-hmm. And an eternity with God is it brings a level of comfort for me. But like I said, growing up, my parents were Catholic based, and it's something that I try to not only lean on in the hard times, but celebrate in the good too. So I don't know. It's my faith, honestly, is what keeps getting me through it. So
that's good. I mean, like I said, you stay when I've been with you through most of the losses that you've dealt with in the last 10 years, and you usually call me or text me or we have a conversation about it. So I've been through most of them with you, and you obviously grieve at the time.
Yep.
But you do stay in pretty good spirits when you go through everything.
It's also one of those things where sometimes you find the silver lining in between it, and you make a purpose out of it sometimes. With some of the loss also brings closeness in other ways. Like with Jeff passing, and if I could bring him back for Tammy, I would in a heartbeat. But her and I have gotten a lot closer in going through some of that.
That's also you being a good friend and making sure she has somebody to lean on, right?
Well, I mean, I try. And some
I think
of
you
it,
give. I mean, you go on trips.
yeah.
I mean, not many people would do that for somebody else. Like you make an annual trip every year to make, on the. I don't know. I think that's awesome that you do that.
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes, I mean, we talk about, some of the different reminders. And I think if you look at your own mortality or you don't, like I said, I tend to look at when somebody close to me passes, it's a reminder of we don't know when things are going to happen. So let me spend as much time as I can with my parents, with my nieces and nephews. Let me get as many memories in with friends and different things like that as I can. So like me not being married, don't have my own kids, I feel like it has actually allowed me to foster a lot of those friendships and relationships because I don't have a husband and kids to focus, my time and energy on a day-to-day basis. I spend my time reaching out to friends and family and keeping those relationships fostered. So, I mean, I find a lot of my strength through other people too. So,
yeah. How do you balance that? I look at it, it just kind of brought into me. I'm kind of the same, like when you talk about your parents or whatever, you have a limited amount of time, so you want to make more time with people. And I get that. I feel that. I think about that at multiple times of the older generations. Like, I need to spend more time with this person. I need to spend more time with this person. How do you balance? Because I love my time. Yeah. So how do you balance, like, I just don't have the emotional fortitude to go be with somebody or the social battery right now. I kind of want to just be by myself right now. How do you balance that and keep that going?
I definitely still do have some of those moments where I'm just like, I've been on the road going and seeing friends every weekend for the last 3 months. Like, I need to just spend some time at home. I do definitely hit some of those limits. And I think the fact that I do, sometimes it's with family, sometimes it's with friends, sometimes it's, with cousins or, sometimes it's Omaha friends, sometimes it's high school friends. Some of it's a different balance between what group it's with. But I do still, some of my alone time happens just after work. And then sometimes the weekend is spent traveling or doing some of the talking and things like that. That's not always easy. And I know I've had some conversations in depth with some of my other friends that are single, don't have kids and things like that, as far as like, how much effort do you give if, like, you're the one that's always reaching out to other people first. We've had some different go-arounds on, like, I don't mind being the one that is always reaching out, because I feel like it's hard sometimes when you have a husband and kids. It's easy to get caught up in everything that's going on. You're taking kids to sports, you're taking kids to this, you're trying to still have some of your own life, whatever. But I don't know, I feel like I don't necessarily care if I'm the one that's always reaching out first, because I don't know, it's just I have that time, and time is a weird thing
that you want to do.
It's important to me because I don't have other people that I'm pouring my time into. So my friends and my family get that initial reach out. But I mean, I do still have times where I just need to be by myself.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, most of my friends, I'd say a large majority of my friends all have family. I mean, they have a wife and kids, or girlfriend and kids, or kids, and and I'm where you're at, is I don't have kids, I don't have a wife, I don't have a girlfriend, whatever. And so, yeah, it's easier for us as the single person. I can hang. It kind of goes back to my college comment. Like I have my Monday, Wednesday, Friday friends. I have my Tuesday, Thursday friends. You know, family member. All my friends now that have families are kind of the same way. Hey, I got this day free. Oh, I got this day free. Oh, I have this day free. And yeah, I could make all those. Let's go. And then there's times where it's like, and then I feel guilt. And when kind of what I was getting at is I feel guilty sometimes. Like I just can't. I can't. No, I need my time. Like I understand. Yeah. Sorry, man. I'm not. I'm just gonna sit in my couch by myself right now. I'm not gonna come hang out with you. It's just how it is. And then you feel guilty, like, yeah, I could have done this. I could have done that.
I think there have been certain times where I can see that guilt factor. I think, just I don't think I feel it so much now as I did when I was younger, because I think certain friendships have evolved enough, or you go through your own different life experiences and you just keep evolving as people. But sometimes it is hard. And when it comes to, because kids, when we were kids, you had a game in the middle of the week and your weekends were free. And now, if your kids are in sports, you're going on weekends, you're going during the week, things are so much crazier, I feel like, for kids that are in sports.
But it's not even just sport. It's
for
everything.
Weekend wise.
Every extracurricular stuff is that way.
Yeah. So it is a little harder to coordinate schedule sometimes with friends that do have kids, because they're kind of run into events. But
you know how you fix it?
Sometimes I tag along to those events.
You know how you fix it? Just start podcasts with them.
There you
they
go.
have to be there.
There you go. Perfect. I'll just,
Voluntold friends.
Look at that. Look at that.
I guess now we're hanging out.
Yeah.
I don't care about your family life.
Yeah. No, that's funny.
So, Anita.
Yeah.
We're kind of to the end of the questions that I had for you, and we'll get into the politics stuff. Is there anything that I maybe have missed? I really tried to put some thought into these questions, so I hope I kind of touched on everything. Or is there anything that you want to get out that I maybe didn't touch on?
No, sorry, I was such an emotional mess, and
you weren't.
Some of that, but no, I don't know. Life's a crazy thing, You just navigate it the best way you can. Everybody's priorities are just a little different in certain ways, and you figure out what works for you, and you just go through life the best you know how. So soak up the time you can and go on your merry way.
Do you have any more questions for her on herself?
I think I learned all kinds. I think I'm good.
I
learned all kinds.
First time meeting you, so
yeah. You got to talk all sorts of death with me. That doesn't sound morbid at all.
I guess it didn't really. It just didn't. It didn't click with me that we've kind of known each other, and Ryan doesn't know.
I thought they had met. I really did.
Yeah,
he's just over here all by himself.
Sorry, buddy.
No, you're good.
You guys just have your own three-way inside jokes. I'm just over here hanging out.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot.
Yeah.
No, that's one thing. Obviously, with trying to foster so many friendships and having such a large family on my mom's side is, inevitably we're all getting older, and it's just the cycle of life. And
you do have a lot of friends, though. You do. He talked about balance, but I don't know how you do it. You have a lot of friends that you spend a lot of time with.
Yeah.
So it's got to be tough.
It's difficult for me, and and I think it could be partially your personality is 10 times different than me. Like it is. You're way more, and I commend you for it. You're way more outgoing than I am.
You travel a lot for your friends too. That's the other thing.
I wouldn't.
I do. Honestly,
You come to me. That's Vance's style.
You guys want to hang out? I'm going to be here. Let's go.
I love road time, though.
Yeah.
Is
that kind of like you're alone, your balance? Is that like your alone time to kind of
some of it can be
clear your head? And listen to such great podcasts.
As in touching base or useless assumptions.
Okay, so listen here, fellas. I really didn't listen to podcasts too much until you guys started this.
Well, we appreciate it.
And now I'm kind of hooked, but only on this, really, because I know you guys.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's good.
You're my only. I'm only fanning on you guys.
Good deal.
But no, like I love music, and that is like my stress release.
That's how you recharge.
It's how I recharge.
I'm
like,
kind of the same way.
And sometimes, honestly, I notice how it affects my mood sometimes, and I joke that I'm like, God, you missed the mark on this just a little bit. Like you gave me the love for music, but you didn't give me the talent to be able to do something with it, other than jamming out in my car by myself. But because God help anybody that has to listen to me jamming out. But I mean, it's better than my brother. He's a little more tone deaf than me. But I joke with him about that sometimes.
Music
too.
can definitely affect your mood. There's a lot of research into it. It's very spiritual, good and bad.
Yeah, there are times when I'm just like, why am I so damn crabby? And I'm like, it's because I haven't listened to music all day today.
Yeah.
And I don't know why or how it affects me so much, but sometimes it just does. And like, I would spend hours and hours. Like when I was a kid, I listened to so many vinyls. I would take our record player and I would take it upstairs and I would grab all of Mom and Dad's records and I would just sit up there for hours and listen to records.
Yep.
So you have way more patience than I do on music. I'm a Pandora only. Like I need to skip. I could never listen to vinyls. I couldn't do it.
It's good.
I can't listen to CDs.
The sound is super good.
I'm sure it's good, but like I can't. I'm gonna listen to one song and then put a new vinyl on.
I gotta lift the needle. God dang it!
I ain't got time for
I gotta
this.
figure out where it goes. Here we go.
I like being able to go from Hank Williams to Tupac back to Avenged Sevenfold. I need that.
Pandora
back to
sounds
back.
like mine.
Yeah,
I'm like, I have Eminem, I have like golden oldies, and I have
The Dixie Chicks.
I literally went.
What's your
On the
go-to
way-
comfort song? Then in the
Oh
car.
God.
Recharge.
What do you mean by comfort? Like comfort?
Like
There's
just
probably
to
different.
recharge. Just to recharge.
Just to recharge.
Honestly, anything I can sing to. If I can't sing to it, nope, it's
Slow,
getting
fat. Like
changed.
it has to be like a bop, like a
Oh,
upbeat.
I can sing to gangster rap. I
No,
can
I know.
sing
No,
to
I just mean like
hard rock.
like does it like is a slow song gonna recharge you, or is it got to be like a?
It depends.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. I'm weird. I mean, I like Vance
I'm
said.
super eclectic.
I am too.
I will listen to Britney Spears and
Yeah,
then
me
I'll
too.
listen to Hit 'Em Up like
Yep.
back
Yeah.
to back, and I'm gonna jam out to both of them.
Britney Spears, DMX, and then give me some NSYNC, and
Yes,
then
absolutely.
and then drop some Hank Williams, and then throw in some Metallica. And
That's
then,
what I do. I literally on the way into town, I was listening to REO Speedwagon, and then the very next song was an Eminem song. I can't remember what it was, and I listened to both of them and sang both songs all the way through.
Right. Yep.
Honestly, I feel like I've been on a very big country kick lately, though. I feel like I used to be a little more eclectic than I am now. I still like the old stuff. Like, I still like the old rap, the old
Yeah.
rock.
You turned 40. That's
I
what
did
happened.
turn 40. It ruined me.
Jesus.
It ruined me. But I
still
think it
got
goes
2
back
years.
to what
I'm
I
good.
can actually sing to.
I
don't know.
Like he just said, you can sing the rap.
Yeah.
You don't have to sing good to it. I didn't say I can sing good to it, but I can sing it. And if I'm in my car by myself, yes.
On the way here, it was Johnny Cash and then Slipknot. So I'm all over the place too.
That's what we
Yeah.
do.
That's the best way to do it. I'm gonna lie.
My recharging is podcasts. That's how I recharge. If I want to settle my mind, I'm listening to one of 3 dozen podcasts is what I'm listening to. But every once in a while, I
can
want the
see that.
music. But yeah, if I just need my mind settled, I got to listen to people speaking so I can try to focus on.
Quiet your own head.
Yeah, basically
That's
is where
how I
I'm
do
at.
it. That's
Sometimes I just get tired of talking and I get tired of hearing other people talk. So I won't always do podcasts.
I don't know that I've ever been
and
tired of
music's just
talking.
different. Well, that's not a surprise, Vance. Shocker.
There's days I drive home
Shocker.
in silence just because that's the only quiet I get in a day.
Oh yeah, I can't do silence.
Yeah, I don't do
I'm
silence
not
either.
good with
I
silence.
get 20 minutes, I get home, and there's 4 kids waiting for me. So
Like at my parents' house and
I've
stuff.
been on the phone with you waiting to go in the house before.
yeah.
We've been having our conversation and be like, and I can hear the kids coming to the car door, like trying, and Ryan's yelling at him because he's been in the car for the last 15 minutes talking to me. And then I gotta go inside. I can't. I'm done. I gotta go.
No, I like my music.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to take another pause before we get into politics.
Amen.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yep, me too.
No, this is the last
You mean
time.
you're gonna
We're
bring
on.
me?
Okay, we're back. Sorry
We're
about that. So election
Yeah.
with don't sound so excited.
Oh God.
Don't. We're not black pilled here. We're there is a way out of this.
So
world is not over yet.
yeah.
That is not over.
With an election year coming up, how do you feel
Yeah.
about where the state of our country is right now? And do you feel that we are being well represented at the federal and state levels?
Well, I feel like we're kind of in a hot ass shit show right now, honestly.
We need more government regulation and insurance,
Hey,
right?
Vance,
Yep.
you know it.
Yep.
You hit the
I'm
head on
gonna clip that and we're gonna play that back. What he said.
No, we are definitely
for
not going to clip that.
many years.
We are not memeing that. That cannot be memed to Vance. saying that.
hashtag more government,
more government,
by
baby.
Vance. Just make Vance president and the world is solved.
Let's not do that.
Don't do that.
I saw a clip today of Trump in his younger years asking him, like, would you ever run for president? And
Yeah.
he's like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
There's got to be somebody more qualified than me to do it. And now I'm like, oh, well, it's definitely a better alternative than what we got at the moment.
This is true.
It's a struggle watching. I mean, you can't even watch him really. I mean, he
Yeah.
has no. When was the last time he had a State of the Union? When was the last time you actually?
Well,
They basically came out and said that he had dementia.
He came out. He addressed the nation on Thursday because they said he had dementia, and he goes, "I don't got dementia." And then he couldn't remember who the president of fucking Egypt
Jimmy Crack
was.
Pop has dementia. What are you talking about?
Was that the video when he was like, was talking about his son, how he basically always wears the rosary given by the
Yeah, it was
lady
that same
of
press
the
conference.
of the.
I can't remember what
Well,
it was, but
you know the thing.
yeah, you know the thing. He
Anyway,
yeah, they weren't going to prosecute him because he was mentally unfit, and he came out to say I'm mentally fit and proceeded to show everybody he's mentally unfit.
oh yeah,
And did the
because
Roomba shuffle after.
Peter Ducey called him out, and he's like, well, apparently I'm forgetful enough or whatever to let you talk.
Yeah.
That was bad to
Oh
let
my
you
God,
talk.
Jesus. Lord help us.
So
Like how
obviously you don't feel we're being well represented at the federal level.
here's the thing. Like how many you decided he's what 80
82.
He's
82.
Or
Somebody
will be this year.
I remember somebody asking like how many 82-year-olds do you know they even like hire at Walmart or like hire to do any kind of job.
But
And
I've been around a 90-year-old that could do bucket chores and
Well,
was the
yes.
sharpest person I've probably ever met in my life. One of the sharpest people mentally I've ever met. So
Yeah.
it's possible. I mean,
It's possible.
Trump's only 2 years younger than Biden, and he
Can run
circles around
I
him.
would say the mental capacity is just way different.
Yeah.
Trump's 80.
Yeah.
He's up. Yeah, he's old.
Well, I knew, like, I thought, why did I think he was like low 70s?
He might be.
That's why they're doing these polls.
He's
That,
Mid-seven-
He's either 2 or 4 years. I'm pretty sure he's 2 years younger. I'm pretty sure he's 80.
because they're
He
trying to
could
say,
be 78, but I'm pretty sure it's 80.
yeah,
I think
Because Biden will be 80.
boy,
Click on the middle one.
we're going to find out how conspiracy theory we are here because I'm pretty sure, what the hell was I watching? And they said Biden really isn't even Biden. Like, Biden died 10 years ago.
Yeah,
who
they
brought-
say
you
he's
brought that
Jim
up.
Carrey. They
Yeah,
say
Jim
he's Jim
Carrey.
Carrey.
Jim Carrey. Yeah.
Well, I didn't hear the Jim Carrey part.
That was on Useless. When did you bring that up?
That was.
Or was that
2 or 3
not even
times.
on the show?
I don't think that
I
was
think
on
that
the
was
show.
after the show.
Yeah, no,
Trump
yeah,
is 77.
77.
77.
Okay.
So
he'll be
he will
70,
be,
so he's
he
4
will be
years
80
younger.
at the end of
Yeah.
his term.
Okay. But still, yeah, there's like Biden actually died how many ever years ago, and this is like an AI version basically, or a.
Why couldn't you find it the other day?
They fixed it.
Did you go
It's
to
pulling
Duck?
up now.
Did you go to DuckDuckGo?
No. This is just Google again.
Yeah,
He typed it in the other day and it didn't. I can see it from here now.
Yeah.
That's what I have on my phone is DuckDuckGo. I do not do
I
anything
have it on my
Google.
phone too, but Google's just too easy to keep
It's just
everything
simple.
in.
Yeah.
Last week I typed it in and I had to go into Wikipedia and try to figure out.
We had to get, we had to get
we
his
can
birth
trust
year.
You had to use a
Wikipedia.
calculator.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers are the owners of the Packers, so.
Well, you
or
know,
the Bears. I mean,
So what about the
Yeah.
state level? I mean, I don't know how much you get into state level politics, but
I admittedly I haven't followed it as much lately. I would say that I actually followed some state stuff more when COVID happened, and trying
what made you want to do that?
to keep up with like during COVID stuff.
Yeah.
I felt like I actually went through a political shift a little bit around that time. I feel like that's when, maybe shortly before that or around that time is actually when I started questioning a lot of things. And I think, and partially too, when Trump got into office, COVID, I feel like got me a little more engaged in some things that I wasn't previously. But I don't know.
Did
There
being
was
friends with me affect that at all?
it enhanced it. I feel like it started a little bit before we started having conversations about it.
Okay, good.
And then you would mention different things, and then we just kept feeding off of each other a
Yeah.
little bit more.
Yep.
But yeah, I think some conversations with my friend Karen happened that started to shift, or not shift my mindset. It was causing me to do research that opened up my mind to not just believe that our government is
the end all be all.
well, I wouldn't
It's
say
actually
that.
in
I
our
wouldn't
best
say
interest,
that
or has
the
our best
end all
interest
be
in
all,
mind.
but that they may not be corrupt. Like I think
Or
previously,
they are corrupt, you mean?
No, I think previously when I was younger, I
thought
felt
they
like
weren't
our
corrupt.
government
Oh, okay.
was not corrupt in a way that would harm people.
Yep.
And I feel like Trump coming into office, and I'm not saying that maybe he doesn't have some of his own corruptness in certain ways, but
He's a billionaire that, I mean, in New York City, you can't get to that level without fucking somebody over.
Yeah.
You just can't. It is what it is. Business is.
And we're not going to say he's perfect ever.
right,
I'll never say
right. But I think he did things in a way that made me start to question things in a way that I hadn't previously. And I don't know. I think my cousin Kenny, who's AJ's older brother, different conversations and stuff that I had with him as well also made me do some digging into different things. And I'm not saying that necessarily, you know, all of the research that I've done, how do you know what to trust? Like that's my issue, and that's what I struggle with the most is what facts do you actually believe to be real and true?
So we talk about it a lot on this podcast, obviously, and then also on the Useless Assumptions. It's all about critical thinking. You may not ever come to the correct answer every time, but if you're critically thinking, you're going to be right a higher percentage of the time than not right.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it, and I want everybody else to look at it as, if you're going to critically think for yourself, you're better to critically think for yourself than going with what somebody tells you.
Right.
Like, you can listen to what somebody tells you, and you can listen to two people that tell you two different things. listen to both of them, and then make your own decision. Whether it's right or wrong, go with what you feel, because it kind of goes back into what we were talking about spiritually earlier, and my faith and everything is what I feel in my soul. It's a real thing, and if I'm feeling it inside of me, I can feel truth. You can feel what's true and what's not true.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to, there's a certain level to where I will not question it. Certain things I'll question because I'll be like, I don't feel it, that it's so much this. I think I might be wrong on this, so I'm willing to listen to somebody. And I could have that change, but there's a certain level where once it hits that deep down, that's a critical thinking thing where you just have to, you got to go with what you feel after thinking it through.
It's also not taking it from one source.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's the biggest thing. Is you can piece multiple pieces of information together, and then you can form your own opinion based off of that. And that's usually how you can come to a pretty good conclusion of what's actually going on.
Yeah. And I think some of the Facebook stuff too, as far as the amount of censoring that they do, I think was definitely brought to light. And I think there are different things that you run across that it's like, well, where are people talking about this? I know this happens. Where this isn't seen anywhere. And you can't use Google. You have to use DuckDuckGo, and you have to, some of the mainstream things. Oddly enough,
you have to be willing to go and find the information. A lot of people aren't willing to go find the information.
They want to put it in front of them, and that's how we've gotten to where we're at.
Yep.
I often want to stab myself in the eyeballs when I do this, but I will actually listen to some of the press conferences.
You have to.
Jean Corinne Pierre, whatever order her name is in,
the press secretary.
She is worthless.
Yeah. She's a diversity hire. She's just a black lesbian. That's the only reason she was hired.
Yeah,
seriously, that's true. Just because she's a black lesbian, she is the only reason she was hired.
It's true.
Vance Biden hires people that represent America. Okay.
I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole with you.
Not on this podcast. No.
He
That's a direct quote.
He hires people that represent America. Okay. Anyway, so like
I can't stand Circle Back. She drove me crazy.
Oh, God.
But at least she was good at her job. She was good at her job. She was a good, competent White House press secretary.
In some ways, yes.
She would lie. But she was good at her job.
She would at least have a unique answer for questions she was
at least
asked.
had a brain.
Yeah.
John Pierre is a black lesbian scarecrow.
So here's.
Oh, I wish I had a brain.
Anyway.
So I will listen to some of this, and
this is the wrong podcast.
I literally don't know how many more times I can hear her say, Republicans just keep getting in the way.
Yeah.
It has been so. I don't know how long ago this was, but Matthew McConaughey was a guest on that, and he had made the comment. He's like, we need to quit saying Democrat and Republican. Like, we just need to figure out how to get things accomplished as a country, as a unit, blah, 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 whatever. And I feel, and she's like sitting back there and she's like, yeah, whatever. And literally, I feel like after he was on that show and made that statement, every episode, what?
That's what it is. It's a
Freaking
reality
shit show. So, every conference that she's had after that, I feel like she just keeps saying over and over again, Republicans are just getting in the way. And obviously the border is a hot topic right now. And I have some Democratic friends. We see things different. We see things different politically, but some of our core values and stuff are still the same. It's we may see political sides differently, but when it comes to family values and different things like that, we see things the same way. And I think that you can still sit down and have an honest conversation with people who are willing to just have a conversation. Yeah. And so we have a conversation about it, and we've had a conversation about, you know, immigrants and things like that before. And like, you know, a lot of the people that live in the United States now were immigrants at one point in time. But the thing that I keep going back to is it was done in a legalized process.
Right.
It wasn't done by just crossing the damn border and crawling through a fence and whatever.
I mean, go back and look at the Ellis Island stuff. I mean, it wasn't pretty. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It wasn't fun. They were given a number and told what state to go to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But they went through the whole process.
And one thing that she keeps bringing up in her press conferences is that the Republicans are not acting, that the immigration system has been broken for forever and blah, blah, blah. And, I mean, think what you want, but I think Trump and the wall actually was effective, and some of the policies that he had in place actually worked. And I think that our current administration, they said it best when it's, if you have a big fire burning, you don't need more buckets to just, oh, frick, I'm not even going to remember how they said it now. But essentially, you don't try to create laws to accommodate for 22 million people coming across the border. You shut off the damn border.
Right.
And
you shut off the gas.
And so, like, the Republicans standing in the way, I feel like the Republicans want a damn closed border.
Yeah.
They want an actual legalized process than people just coming across.
The laws are already there.
Yeah.
So
it's already illegal to cross.
Yeah.
By the term illegal immigrant.
Yeah. So
simple.
Our getting in the way is literally we're just not bending over.
We're stopping their voters from coming in.
Yes.
Is all it is.
Anybody who doesn't just automatically agree with what their solution is just getting in the way.
Right.
Stop being so racist.
Do you feel that the systems that are in place,
we need more immigration,
still work in today's time? The two-party system.
I don't even know. I feel like everything's broken right now.
Yeah.
And I know there have been people that have mentioned, that have been on the previous podcast that talk about, like, at one point in time, I don't feel like Democratic and Republican used to be so far apart.
There were some, but it wasn't as divided. No, it's still not. They're fucking friends. We say this all the time.
It's a uniparty.
They're all friends.
We obviously, checks and balances are still super, super important. Like, if you if you didn't have the Senate and the House of Republicans right now, if you don't have a counter
in the Supreme Court,
I just, it's not working. What solution do I have? Otherwise, I don't know yet.
Term limits?
Yes. You make them pass certain competency tests.
That would be another one too. If your president is a legalized dementia patient, we should probably
doesn't even have to be president. Senate.
I get
Congress.
that. I'm saying something that's happening as we speak.
Yeah. We had the same shit with Dianne Feinstein. Same shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. I mean, it's terrible. It's bad. These people are just getting in and never leaving.
I feel like the world itself has evolved and the government process has not.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I think it's good, but in some ways, it's not. It's just not effective anymore.
Yeah. What do you feel on some of the infighting with some of the the Republican side, the Democrat side, they're infighting with each other. What do you feel about that?
That's tough too, because
how do you feel a debate should go?
With facts.
Right.
And I feel like facts just keep
Facts about what though?
any of the
Not
situations
about each other,
that
right?
No, about the subject at hand.
Right.
Like, if you're looking at the border stuff, like, what are the actual facts? And how many thousands of pounds of fentanyl are being brought in? Like, how do we prevent that from happening? Like, and everybody tries to make everything so personal all the time, and like, just quit with some of that shit. Like, it's I don't know. Don't quit tiptoeing around
don't you like
everybody's
it?
feet.
We've given our opinion on that. Why don't you like that kind of stuff?
What kind of stuff?
The infighting, the attacking each other.
Because it gets
personally.
nowhere. There's no progress that's made.
Right.
You don't actually get anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
True. I mean, completely true.
Ad hominem attack. The way I always say it is, the minute you go to an ad hominem attack, your argument's done. You have no argument. That's the only reason you're going to ad hominem. You're only going to that because you know your position is wrong. So I'm just going to call you racist. I'm going to call you sexist. I'm going to call you.
Add emotion to it to get
Yeah.
more buy-in to support your cause.
I'm going to create me being a victim is all I'm going to do.
Yep.
And create a victim mentality, a victim class mentality.
In any situation where I've had a disagreement with somebody, once you take some of the emotion out of it, once you take some of the personalization out of it, and you just look at facts, period. But that's where I feel like our administration has a little bit of an issue right now, is we tend to hide the facts.
Yeah.
We don't actually bring the real facts forward. So being able
Both sides do.
to find a solution, how do you do it when you're not looking at true facts? Because that's where the agreement comes in. When
you can even have a disagreement about facts. Like Zach and I will get in heated conversations, drinking, whatever. Never gets personal. We'll yell. Well, our voices will get, and then we're over.
But we've never.
I believe this. He believes that.
Attacked each other personally.
No, there's no ad hominem attacks.
Anyway.
There's no personal attacks.
Yeah.
This is, you believe this on this set of facts. I believe this on this set of facts, and we'll have a heated conversation about it. And we're done drinking, and it's whatever. I mean, it's simple to have. You can have that type of heated conversation, and not become personal about it.
So how, obviously, being on opposite sides of the fence, being not seeing eye to eye, happens all the time. It's not something that's new. It used to happen back in the day. So how could they get things accomplished then, and we can't get them accomplished now?
They got to quit agreeing behind doors.
Yep.
They got to quit agreeing about things that aren't about what's at hand.
They got to quit voting on.
They got to quit saying, I'll vote for your thing if you vote for my thing.
They got to quit voting
More
on
transparency.
They got to quit voting on foreign aid packages on Super Bowl Sunday when nobody's paying attention.
Right. That's the other thing too. Is things are getting voted on, or things are not getting voted on when they should be.
Yeah. They're doing shit. They're making deals behind closed doors without the rest of the world paying attention to it.
That's really the thing that is coming about. Yeah.
And I feel like people are throwing rocks at glass walls or whatever.
Glass houses.
that.
We need to get you a proverb book or something.
This makes
A bird in the hand.
Got to go.
I remember the general concept, but that was good. That was good.
We got you.
Glass houses sink ships. This mix and match shit's got to go.
You're good. You're good.
Hey, I got so many things going on in this brain up
good.
here.
You're
They're
good.
bound
You're
to
good.
get jumbled here and there.
You're good.
It's a movie quote, just so you know.
Oh,
It's off of
good.
Boondock Saints.
Yep.
It's off of what?
Boondock Saints.
Yeah, haven't seen it.
No. I gave it to you. I gave it to you
you've
to
never
watch, and she gave it back
You
to
didn't
me.
give me.
Boondock Saints.
Nope.
Yeah, I did.
That was not.
He gave it to you and you did not watch it?
I don't think
Get
that's
off
one of the
this
movies he gave
podcast
me.
right now. I don't know why we ever allowed you on here. Jesus.
I've seen grumpy old men. That counts.
No, it doesn't.
No.
She hasn't seen a lot of movies.
Not when
Let's
we're
just put
talking
it that
about
way.
Boondock Saints.
Okay.
Anyway.
That's a top 5.
Cult classic.
Okay, so before you bring me on next time, we'll have a little movie night. We'll watch this damn movie,
And she's gonna say it wasn't that good.
and I'll still screw up the line, and it'll be fine.
All right, enough about politics.
Okay.
Where do you see yourself going in the future? Are you enjoying where you are now? Do you see yourself staying in Northeast Nebraska? Do you see yourself leaving?
You know, I hate the question of where do you see yourself going about as much as I hate talking about myself most of the time, because if you would have told me 5 years ago from now that I'd be sitting on this podcast with 3 gentlemen talking about all this kind of stuff, I'd say you're full of shit.
Yeah, Vance would have said the same thing.
I'd have no, like
No, I just said we'd do it at some point.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
That's probably what I said. I would say, yes, Zach and I are going to do it at some point. And then you would have said, all right, pull the trigger. I'd be like, no, Zach's going to have to do that.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're good. I feel like every time I've imagined my life 5 years down the road, it's not what I imagined 5 years ago. And I don't think that that's a negative thing by any means, any way, shape, or form, because I feel like I just keep moving forward in a positive direction, because that's kind of how I see life. Obviously, you need to keep moving forward, not moving backwards. But I mean, if you would have told me 5 years ago that I'd be doing insurance, I'd say you're full of shit. But I'm glad that that's what I'm doing now.
Right.
And I don't know, just life has a way of just happening, and I just keep saying yes, like we were talking about earlier, to certain things. So to say where I see myself in the future, I don't know. And I'm okay with that, because I just keep taking things day by day. And I know they say you need to look long-term and have long-term goals. And I think having a certain amount of goals is good, and that's fine. But you also have to be okay with those potentially changing based on what happens in life every day. So I don't know for sure what I see for my future, other than still having a strong faith every day, still maintaining those relationships as much as I can with family and friends, and trying to set myself up successfully in a profession that will allow me to do that. So outside of that, I don't know, but that's where I see that. As far as being in this area, is that the next question?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 100%. I've traveled to a few states outside of Nebraska. And I can say with 100% confidence, even if I'm not in Nebraska, I will be in the Midwest 100%, because I see that that's where my values and who I am match up the best. I see that that's where I'm comfortable. That's where I thrive. Not that I've necessarily spent an extended amount of time outside of the Midwest.
Doesn't take long to figure out what's going on when you get somewhere else.
Yeah. And I think just because I am such a family and friend person, that I can't imagine myself being a huge distance away from them. I think spending some time away is okay, because it helps you determine what you do want as an individual and as a person. So I will encourage people to spread their wings a little bit. But if you don't, I mean, that's, everybody has their own thing. But yeah, I see myself definitely still being in the area, because that's where my friends and family are, and that's something that's very important to me. So
No, you're very family. I figured that was going to be your answer, but I just wanted to. We ask it to everybody.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask.
I love traveling places. I
Right.
love seeing new places.
Hey, you've left the country, and Vance and I never have.
I've never left the country.
You don't have a passport or anything?
I do not have a passport.
I don't either.
I keep and you know what pisses me off, and it's my own fault. every time I tell myself I'm going to go get a passport, because nothing pisses me off more than losing my driver's license or having it expire or whatever.
Right.
And then you have to have 34 proof of residences and all this other bullshit, even though they have your picture on the goddamn shit. And you can be like, that's me right there. You can tell that's me. Just print me off a new fucking ID. And they won't do it because you have to have this. You have to have that. You have to have your birth certificate. Why do I have to have that shit? I don't need it. If I just had a passport, I can go get my goddamn driver's license or new ID or whatever and not give a shit. But it's frustrating. So yes, it's oh my god, that's a number one pet peeve of mine, and it's my own fault because I've had 43 chances to get a passport and I've never done it.
Look what we did.
This is our next podcast goal. Get Vance a passport.
Yeah, I need one too. So
I'm gonna watch whatever movie that was, and Vance is gonna get a passport.
what's funny is that we were gonna go to. I was gonna go to the Dominican, and then COVID happened. And I said, we're not going. I said, I want a refund and the whole thing. Cause I'm like, I'm not traveling, being forced to wear a mask and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not doing it. So
I have only been to Jamaica so far at this point.
maybe it was Jamaica. I think it was, I don't know, whatever it was. For me. Sorry.
Why did I think you were going to Mexico?
It wasn't. I wouldn't have went to Mexico.
Jamaica. It
Would
was
it
Jamaica, I
have been
think.
Dominican or Jamaica, one of the two. I can't remember.
Anyway, yeah.
Anyway.
I don't even remember what we were talking about before that. Are you
staying
guys
around here.
people that smile on your driver's license? I'm gonna guess no.
I do like a smirk.
I don't. My ID's in my car. I don't know.
Speaking
I'm
of
probably
like,
sure
I
know.
haven't taken a photo since I turned 21 because I can just keep hitting
just
keep
renew.
the same one.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't got one of those D things.
You've
have
never
you?
had one of those D things? I've had 3 of them. You get a lot of pictures taken.
Once you get one of them D things, you
Nope.
Yeah. Nope.
I'm
Mine just went in the gutter. You guys said D things, and Vance has had 3 of them, and I have no idea what the hell you're
checks out.
talking about.
A 3-letter
DUI.
D thing.
DUI.
T
Oh.
D
He's had 3Ds on a separate
She's
note.
had
He's
too many
3 of them.
Trulies.
Got it. No, I am one of those. I consider myself to be an intelligent. Listen, men. I consider myself to be an intelligent person,
We agree.
but I miss things like that sometimes. Just need a little explanation
No,
every once in a
Vance gives
while.
off that vibe. You can just admit it.
He said it, not me. But anyway, going back to passports, let's bring this back to.
You did it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway, so passports. I'm generally a smiley person as well.
Yeah.
So the last time I went and got my passport renewed, they're like, you can't smile. I'm like, this is the thing. I can't smile. It was awkward. It was an awkward picture.
You serious? They won't let you smile?
It helps with
No.
facial recognition.
Yes.
To not smile, they want you to be
Well,
whatever.
and the very first time I got a passport, I had glasses. At the time, I didn't have contacts, and I could wear my glasses. And this time, if you wear glasses, you cannot wear your glasses for your pictures. You cannot smile.
That's why though. It's facial
Makes sense.
facial recognition.
Facial recognition.
That whole like smiling, not smiling made me think of a thing I saw on TikTok. It's like, it costs $0 to be nice. And the person goes, how much it costs to not be nice? It's $0, ain't it?
Yeah.
It's $0, ain't it? It's 0. It doesn't cost anything, does it?
That's funny.
That just made me laugh. It's the same thing. Like it's
still
just hard to. It doesn't cost you any money to smile. How much does it cost me to frown? It's 0, ain't it? It's 0, ain't it?
Just wrinkles. Cost you wrinkles.
I don't care.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes I smile. I'm a smiley person
you
generally.
smile more than you think. You really do. So after all that, I just want to make sure that everyone knows like what a great human being you are. You've always been there for me and my family every time we've needed you. You give so much back to the community in many different ways. You really are a shining light in somewhat of a dark world nowadays.
Oh,
So I just want to make sure that the viewers or the listeners get that. And that's true from my heart. I had to write that one down so I could say it correctly.
Are you trying to make me cry again?
Well, I mean, kind of. No, but truly, you really have always been there for anything that we've ever needed you for. So,
well, I mean, kind of going back to not being married, not having kids, I rely on a lot of other people too. Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes you get what you give. So, I try to give because I need it back.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, sometimes everybody just needs an ear, needs whatever. So, if I can be that for somebody else, then hopefully if I need it, it's there when I need it. So
definitely. Vance, Ryan, you guys got anything else to add tonight?
I want to second basically what he said is just ever since I've known you, you're a social butterfly, constantly. It's crazy. And I envy it because I'm not that person. Like even when we went to your birthday party, you're just constantly going and talking to different people. Yeah. I basically just, me and Zach sat at one table the entire fucking time. And
I'm one of those people can come to me.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
If they want to talk to me, they can come to me.
If you want to see me, I'll be at this place. And you were going the entire time, and it's crazy. I envy that, and that's something to be proud of, to be that type of person.
If you had told me throughout different things that I've done in my life, like when I went through, what the hell is that program called at the chamber? I mean, I'm not going to say...
The A word?
I did go to an AA meeting one time, but it was
court mandated.
It was no. We didn't all get 3 Ds.
I've been in those court mandated ones.
I didn't get 3 Ds like you've gotten over there.
Sorry,
Vance.
we had to give you some shit.
No, it was for a psychology class.
Oh, yeah.
They let us go up to Valley Hope and O'Neill for a day, and like everybody that was there kind of had to sign off on us being there. But
HIPAA.
Yeah. No, when I went through, it's a class through the chamber. Oh, Leadership Norfolk. When I went through that, I don't remember what the personality test there was. I've taken different personality, Myers-Briggs and different things like that. And at one point in time, if
probably
you
like Clifton. Did you maybe take the Clifton assessment?
Maybe. I don't know. Clifton doesn't sound familiar.
It's like a 5. Clifton gives you
colors?
That's the colors.
Okay.
Basically, it gives you like 5 strengths or whatever.
Out of like 30 categories or something like that.
Yeah. If you had told me that I was an extrovert and not an introvert, I would have been like, I don't know about that. But yeah, so sometimes some self-recognition happens through some of that. But yeah, so I am one of those little extroverts, not on a very, very large scale.
So I think there is a way to be both, because I believe I'm introvertedly extrovert, like, because I enjoy.
That's true. You're the same way though. Actually, you are.
I can be an extrovert for so long, and then I need some introvert time. Like I need some just me time.
Do I seem that way to you a little bit?
You just laugh.
Nah.
But I'm not extroverted. No. You would not call me extroverted.
I wouldn't know.
You would call me
after about 5 beers, maybe. But
yeah, probably.
on a normal basis, no.
I am very much in my element and comfortable talking to people that I know, and to a certain point, I can walk up to somebody and have a conversation with somebody, but it's not always going to be in my element. Like to go I would take a social gathering at a house with friends and family over going to a packed bar any day in my life.
Yes.
And so I think some of my extrovertness is
but you're welcoming. You're a welcoming personality. Yeah. I see.
She won't say that about herself, but yeah.
I apparently also have a lot of doppelgangers out there because I've been called so many other names. They're like, "Oh,
I get that all the time too.
Hey, Ashley. Hey, Amanda." I'm like, "Nope." And
at least yours start with the same letter.
I go check out at Walmart and they're like, "Oh, how's your aunt doing?" I'm like, "Which one?"
At least it's a name and not "Hey, asshole."
True.
True that.
Can't argue that.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, I really appreciate that. I appreciate that, fellas. And
we're speaking the truth, and we're not the only ones that will say that. Wow. I guarantee you, we poll anybody else in here, they're going to say the same thing.
Yeah, well, I definitely appreciate that, and it's not my goal in life to see how many people I can piss off on a day-to-day basis. So
sometimes it's mine.
Vance and I might have a different
challenge.
It's a different approach.
Now, do you guys see why I hired her?
Yeah.
We should start to do
Balance.
some additional. We need more bets. Like how many friends can I make in a day versus Vance or?
Oh, we already know.
We already know.
Why would we make this bet?
It also depends on how many beers Vance buys for the
maybe
people.
it's one I can win. Although he's better.
You would win all of them.
Yeah.
No.
We can't do those kind of bets.
Yeah,
You gotta
I
go
need to
the
have
other
a
way.
chance.
How many
remember it.
relationships can you ruin?
Yes.
That'd be easy. How many people can you piss off in a day's time?
No.
To get them to call you something other than your name that's not
Derogatory.
Yeah.
That is derogatory.
that is derogatory.
Oh, I'm winning every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
All day.
That should be
every
the
day.
bet. You see how many friends you can get, and he needs to see who gets the most.
See how many people I can piss off in a day.
See how many people you can get to call you an asshole.
Or how many people cause me to lose my mind.
Well, okay. That's on you, though. That's not on the other person.
No, it's on the other person. Every time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Old Donald Duck.
I knew this podcast would eventually get off the rails, and we've gotten there.
Hey, that's how it goes.
No, it's good. It's going to be a good show. People like when we laugh and have fun, and yeah.
Well,
It was enjoyable. Really enjoyable.
It really was.
I also cried a lot, so sorry about that.
You really didn't. I honestly, I brought you barely used any.
No,
I brought them over because
I don't even
I've
think she used
I
one.
didn't pull a tissue out.
well, there you go. See,
I just
that's why I brought them.
Had to
I
breathe
brought
through
them
the voice.
to
She
Just
hide the
like
tears.
sucked him back through her tear
Back up.
ducts.
No, I knew it was going to be a difficult time for you, and we rescheduled this. We had talked about doing it before,
Yeah.
and it was right after something had just happened, and she didn't feel it was the right time. I get it. I get it. But you did fine. You didn't
thanks.
really cry.
Well,
It's good to have emotion on the podcast.
That's just me.
Gets more listeners.
That balances us out.
I do have one quick question.
Yeah.
What's it feel like going from co-host to the guest? How was that transition for you? Or was it different?
Yes, in a way. I almost. Well, I don't know.
Speak.
Speaking,
I feel like it was, even though I don't like talking about myself, it's. I think it's easier though to relate to. Obviously, I have my own situational things. Sometimes it's harder. I'm a crock pot thinker. I'm not a microwave thinker. So I am very much one of those people that I'll get home later and I'll be like, God, why didn't I ask this question? Or why didn't I say this or whatever? And so, but me being the one that gets the questions asked too, I mean, it's obviously easier for me to speak because it's my experiences.
Was it comfortable?
Yeah. Yeah.
I also want to let people know I did not give her any of the questions beforehand. I want to make sure nobody ever gets any questions ahead of time on this podcast, even if I know them or anything else.
The only thing is, obviously, if you've listened to the podcast, you know what's coming at the end. But
At the end, yeah.
I mean, it always kind of starts with how'd you start?
Yeah.
What do you think about government at the end? But no, I mean, and I think you guys make it. I've known you for a little while, but I think even if I didn't know you, like it's just a comfortable experience. You guys aren't you don't make it too awkward until you start talking about 3Ds and things like that. But
first of all, you took that out of context.
This was never our intention. This is 100% on you.
I know.
Vance gets one shot, and he wants more government and more D.
Yeah, he goes on vacation for 1 week. God dang it. So
this is what happens.
One question I do want to ask you now that we're towards the end.
Yeah.
What are your true thoughts on the podcast itself, Bold Podcast itself? Like your true thoughts on how it started, how it's going, where it's at now, you being on it now. How do you feel about the whole situation?
It's just getting started. I mean, I think there's so many different people that I've learned about so many people so far. A couple I knew a little bit going into it previously. I mean, like Jared, obviously I've known him for years, and I graduated with his older sister and coming from the same town. But there were still things that I learned about him. Being part of the J Belt interview and stuff was something that was very interesting. I had heard some of his story before, but I learned so much about him. And there are so many things that I think are eye-opening, and I think it's just good to be able to get to hear about what goes on in this community, what people think about it. It's a safe space. I feel like there's no judgment, really. We are
the last ones that are going to judge anybody.
Yeah, I just applaud you guys.
I don't want people judging me, so
and
I'm not judging you.
I'm excited to see where this goes once you get to add video and stuff to it too, because I feel like that's gone over super well. And I'm one of those people too that I am so much more engaged and attentive when I can look somebody in the eye and have a conversation versus just hear a voice. Like I will sit down and have a conversation with you in person versus talk to you over the phone any day of the week and twice on Sunday. So it's only just starting, and I think that there's it's hard to get the word spread. As we know with any kind of business, any kind of organization, whatever, it's always a matter of trying to get the word out and keep expanding. But obviously, the more people that you can, as you keep going, you're just naturally going to keep getting more followers. And if you keep getting in a variety of different kind of people and situations and backgrounds and atmospheres and things like that, it'll just keep expanding, and people will dig into what they can relate to, honestly. So it's just getting started.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys have a great personality for this, and you have a knack for asking natural questions and relatable questions and things that aren't intimidating. So you guys do a great job.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate it. I enjoy that there's days that I can't make it, and you've done a really good job and had a really good podcast. So I know it's always safe. So
yeah.
I really enjoy it.
Well,
and then it gives me the chance to listen on the days that I can't be here for
what's gonna
whatever
happen
reason.
When I can't make it then?
Well, me and Anita are gonna have to handle it. We'll get it done.
All right.
I got a good. We got Ryan over here producing it.
We've got a good team built up. I think it's going to be very good moving forward. We are very close to being in the studio. We're all here in the house, just not in the room.
we're moving steps at a time.
Steps at a time.
Getting closer.
So this was a good episode to do here. It's been super comfortable. It's a lot.
I'm glad the timing worked out perfect for it. I think I'm really happy for the timing and everything.
Yeah, and we do really appreciate you opening up. And I didn't volunteer you to do this. I asked you if you'd be open to doing one.
Yeah,
and you agreed. So it wasn't like I forced her on here.
I think different situations throughout life have made me comfortable in opening up and doing certain things like that. And I've appreciated people that have opened up about things to me and that I can relate to. So if there's anybody that I can potentially do the same to, I'm happy to do it. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to tell the listeners before we wrap up?
Oh man. Just keep living life every day, whether it's perfect or not perfect. There's still something to take away from every day. So live it the best you can. Keep close to the ones that you love, and keep going through life. And
it's a ride. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but just keep moving forward. So
good advice.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
Since we're all here, I am going to say, make sure you go follow the show on social media platforms. We have recently started getting more content on TikTok. Go check us out over there. The more engagement that we can get on the shows, will just keep making us be able to do bigger and better things. Big announcement here. I know we already announced it. We're recording on a Tuesday. I announced it today already. But for those of you that maybe didn't see the post or anything else, we are going to get the chance to get, I would say, at least 85 to 90% of the mayor and city council candidates for Norfolk. And we may try to get some other surrounding cities. I have a whole list, but we do have already confirmations for city council and mayor candidates in Norfolk. If you can go to our post or even just go to our Agent Life Media Group Facebook page, TikTok, anything. If you don't want to post it publicly, please DM us. But we want to...
You can do it on the Agent Life Media Group or any of us personally.
Any of us personally.
If you feel more comfortable doing that, you can do that too.
But we need... I shouldn't say need. We would like
some
you guys
questions
to be able to give some questions to your candidates, because I know you don't really have a space to do that.
Yeah. And I don't live in Norfolk, so I'm not a voter of Norfolk,
right.
But I will ask what questions I think are pertinent maybe to you, but me as not being a Norfolk citizen, I'm not going to have the same needs that maybe somebody else that is in that voting block personally wants to hear.
And obviously we're going to have a standard set of questions that everybody's going to get asked, because we're going to try to keep it as fair and balanced as possible.
Yep. And we're going to give everybody their chance to get their piece out.
Correct. We're also, I would just love, we will literally get every ward on here. So all of you, please, but keep it civil.
Yep. No personal attacks. We've talked about this.
Attacks. No, just think about your question and send it out. We want questions, but don't, we're not going to talk about roundabouts. I'm sorry. We already did it on Josh's podcast. We're not doing that.
We will
cracking up.
Go through the questions, and if it's not going to cut the mustard,
obviously
we're
going
to
to,
but we're going to attempt. We will do our best to get any of your real questions asked and answered.
And these are going to be rapid fire through the next, starting in March into April. So you will hear probably all four of our voices, because we're not going to always be able to get Vance on. I might not even be able to make one of them. We'll see. But all four of us will be involved, and we'll make sure that the same questions and the same atmosphere is given to every candidate. Yep. So I just want to get that out on this podcast. Since it was yours and you're part of the podcast, we want to make sure we get that out. But go follow us, please. I mean, the TikTok is actually, I got to get Vance on there. I got to get Ryan in there. I've been doing most of the uploading, but I finally just had to start doing it.
Yeah. Pull the trigger, man.
But thanks to my co-host Vance Neidig, producer Ryan Battershaw. Without them, the show would not be what it is. Special thanks to Anita Larson today, also a co-host sometimes. Couldn't do it without her. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. And thanks to you too.
No, thank you.
It was great meeting you.
I love it. It's selfish for me. We've gone over this every time. I don't care.
Can we have a group hug after this ends?
No.
I feel like this.
No.
What?
As long as Vance is the middle.
This is introvertedness of me. I'm not
kidding.
a hugger.
I'm a hugger.
We'll do another shot instead.
Okay.
We will see you guys next week.